This video continues with Chapter 176, Civilian Naruto, Invincible from the Eight Gates. Chapter 176. The two of them were in a field far from Konoha. Uzumaki Naruto fell on the messy ground and lost consciousness. Uchiha Sasuke looked at Uzumaki Naruto's scarred face, and a very complicated look flashed in the blood-red three Magatama. This is the person he cares about. There are unforgettable memories here. But he doesn't belong here. His future is destined to be killing and suffering, and he has nothing to do with this warmth. If he lost himself in the illusion of warmth, his eyes would not have reached the level of the three Magatama now. Everything is thanks to Orochimaru and Uchiha Itachi who appeared again. Sasuke tilde. The familiar shouting sounded. Uchiha Sasuke put away the emotion in his eyes and looked at Haruno Sakura, who was crying in the distance. Lenku said, "Why are you still here?" Sasuke, don't leave. Please don't leave. Enough, Uchiha Sasuke shouted impatiently. You keep crying, it's annoying. I didn't tell you that you are really noisy. Haruno Sakura burst into tears. Sasuke, please don't leave. Everyone will help you if you encounter any difficulties. You can't help me, Uchiha Sasuke said coldly. Especially you, what else can you do except cry? You are not as strong as Naruto. I will work hard. Don't joke. People without talent will not become strong. Don't even compare with girls like Karin. You are not as good as Ino and Tenten. You have time to cry. Why don't you go back to practice? Don't bother me anymore. As he was talking, Uchiha Sasuke suddenly looked up and looked into the distance. Uzumaki Karin quickly came to the front with Rock Lee, who was exhausted. Sasuke, you guy, why do you mention your affairs to me? Rock Lee, who was held in his hand, was still struggling. Let me go, I am the blue wild of Konoha. Beast, I can still fight. Shut up, Karin interrupted the stubborn Rock Lee without hesitation. As someone who spends time with Suzumiya Musashi day and night, she knows Suzumiya Musashi's 8 gates of Dunjia very well. She also knew very well that only after the 7th gate of the 8 gates was opened could one get the title of blue. Rock Lee was just a clumsy imitation of Might Guy's introduction. Therefore, she agreed with Suzumiya Musashi's private evaluation of Rock Lee. He is barely talented and loves to show off. After being scolded by Uzumaki Karin, Rock Lee finally stopped clamoring to continue fighting. Uchiha Sasuke looked at Uzumaki Karin with a cold face. Karin, are you going to stop me too? Don't get me wrong. Uzumaki Karin threw Rock Lee aside and said, My brother doesn't plan to stop you, so I won't make myself unhappy. My brother has something for me to give you. Brother Musashi, what do you want to give me? The coldness on Uchiha Sasuke's face melted a little. This is it. Uzumaki Karin threw 2 scrolls to Uchiha Sasuke and then looked up and down at the other party at this moment. This chakra feels completely different from before. It feels even colder. Looking at Uchiha Sasuke, whose form has changed drastically, and then at Zio Lee, who is limp beside him, she can't help but sigh in her heart. Compared to this group of problem teenagers, it is indeed the elder brother who is likable. On the other side, Uchiha Sasuke checked the contents of the scroll, and a trace of warmth emerged in his heart. It records the results of Suzumiya Musashi's research on lightning chakra over the years. Although there is no powerful attack ninjutsu, just the full stage training content of the lightning chakra activation mode and some wonderful ideas are already of great value. He put the scroll away silently. Sasuke, hurry up, it's going to rain if you don't leave now. A reminder came from behind. Uchiha Sasuke looked up. Karin, say thank you to Brother Musashi for me. Forget it, tell him yourself when you come back, Uzumaki Karin said. By the way, my brother has 2 more words for you. Uchiha Sasuke listened. The first sentence, no matter how strong the Sharingan is, there are still places where it cannot see clearly. The second sentence, pretending to be cool will easily lead to a beating. Uchiha Sasuke's departure did not cause much waves in Konoha. He was just a genin. The people who knew the news were only I just lamented that there was one less Uchiha in the village. Compared to the last time, when so many people were lost, it didn't sound explosive if it was only one at a time. Eat when you should eat and drink when you should drink. Practice when you should practice. The ones who were hit the hardest were Uzumaki Naruto and Haruno Sakura. Tsunade blamed Suzumiya Musashi for not taking action after knowing the news, but Suzumiya Musashi silenced Tsunade with just one sentence. Uchiha Itachi came that day. Tsunade, according to the regulations, those who escape without permission will be listed as traitors. Let him be a traitor, Suzumiya Musashi said. It's not easy to find Uchiha Sasuke, not to mention that he has Orochimaru by his side. No one except Uzumaki Naruto will go after this traitor. After talking about Sasuke, Suzumiya Musashi was reluctant to leave. Tsunade looked at him in confusion. Why are you still here? Do you want me to treat you to a meal? Suzumiya Musashi finally explained his purpose. I want you to fulfill your promise. You mean? I want to learn the Yin Seal. Oh, Tsunade looked at him with interest. You want to learn? If you want to learn, I will teach you. I don't have this idea. Suzumiya Musashi frowned slightly. I'm not kidding you, Tsunade. Tsunade's eyebrows were raised. What did you call me? Hokage-sama. Go on. Hokage-sama, I want to learn the Yin Seal. And your summoning contract. Tsunade lay on her back in the chair. Why should I teach you? It doesn't seem to be of any benefit to me. If you learn it and beat me one day, you can. Suzumiya Musashi said, I'm not kidding you. The 7th gate of the 8 gates is very strong, and it can fully reach the level of Kage, but he is not satisfied with just this level. Sasuke's departure made him more aware that he needed stronger strength. Facing possible future enemies, the 7th gate of the 8 gates is not enough. He needs stronger means. If the 8th gate is opened, with his current strength, he is likely to die or be disabled. Yin Seal is an important ninjutsu that is indispensable to his plan. Give me a reason to convince me, Tsunade said softly. Suzumiya Musashi thought about it. He said, Konoha's current situation is not good. My strength has been improved, which is only good for Konoha. Tsunade, not enough. I can maximize the value of Yin Seal and will not bury this ninjutsu. It's still not convincing enough. Suzumiya Musashi turned his brain. Hokage-sama, your work is not going smoothly right now, is it? It's hard for you to mobilize Danzo's root personnel. Konoha is short of combat power now. Moreover, the influence of the 2 advisory elders is also a great constraint on you. If my strength improves, I can help you with all my strength to deal with these. After all, I am the Anbu directly under the Hokage, and I am your confidant. Tsunade straightened up. She has indeed been patient with Uchiha Koharu and Danzo for a long time. Not only do the old guys still hold power, but they always oppose her decisions. Suzumiya Musashi strikes while the iron is hot. Hokage-sama, you don't want to have few people under your command and be restricted everywhere, right? Chapter 177. The 2 of them were very close, and the 2 sides had a lot of difficulties. Tsunade. After thinking for a while, she said, it sounds good. Suzumiya Musashi's eyes lit up. So you agree? Tsunade did not comment. I'll think about it. How long do you need to think about it? 3 to 5 days. Suzumiya Musashi breathed a sigh of relief. Tsunade said she would think about it, and it was probably because he persuaded her. As a Hokage, it is difficult for the other party to refuse a powerful and trustworthy subordinate. 3 days later, Suzumiya Musashi, who was on duty, was called to the Hokage's office by Shizune. Suzumiya Musashi thought Tsunade had finally agreed to his proposal and came to the office excitedly, only to find that there were other people in the room besides him and Tsunade. Sakura. Musashi-senpai, Haruno Sakura greeted politely. Suzumiya Musashi looked at Tsunade behind the desk. Hokage-sama, do you agree or? It's only been a few days, why rush? Tsunade chuckled and said, I asked you to come here to tell you something. Suzumiya Musashi quietly waited for the next words. Your previous proposal makes sense. Coincidentally, Sakura came to me and said she wanted to be my disciple. I agree. In this way, if I teach you ninjutsu, you and Sakura will be in the same school. Do you think you should be a senior brother or a junior brother? Suzumiya Musashi's face changed slightly. Hokage-sama, I only said that I want to learn ninjutsu from you, but I didn't say that I want to be your disciple. Why should I teach you ninjutsu if you're not my disciple? Tsunade asked back. Suzumiya Musashi's face looked a little ugly. In Tsunade's slightly strange eyes, he said seriously, Hokage-sama, I have a teacher. My teacher is Uzumaki Kushina. I don't plan to, and I don't want to have a new teacher. Tsunade was a little stunned. Although her proposal was a bit teasing, she didn't expect Suzumiya Musashi's reaction to be so intense. Uzumaki Kushina is actually his teacher. Looking at Suzumiya Musashi with an ugly face, she felt something in her heart and said tentatively, Have you thought about it? If you don't want to become a disciple, the matter of ninjutsu. Just pretend I never mentioned it. Suzumiya Musashi turned around and left with a grim face. The dissatisfaction of being arranged to work overtime for some time finally broke out at this moment. Isn't it just the yin seal? Using the yin seal to make up for the omissions of the 8 gates of Dunjia was just an idea of his. He just didn't believe that he couldn't find other means to solve the problem in such a big ninja world. Even if there were no other means, he would research one himself. As for the contract of the wet bone forest, it was not without replacement options. What he did was just to have the opportunity to contact the Sage Mode and use natural abilities in the future. In this regard, Mayaboku Mountain and Ryuchai Cave were not impossible, and there was even the Tsuchigumo clan's Wrath of Heaven secret technique that could be used as a reference. He knew that he was angry in his heart, because Tsunade's teasing and long hours of overtime in recent times had long made him angry. In addition, today's proposal involved Uzumaki Kushina, so he finally exploded. Damn it, I'm done. When you are constrained by Danzo and Yutin Koharu, I'll see how I laugh at you. On duty. On duty, I'm not feeling well, so I'm taking sick leave. Whoever wants to go can go. On duty was originally the job of Uchiha. If you have the guts, call Uchiha back to patrol. Angry in her heart, she didn't stop. Wait, Tsunade suddenly spoke when Suzumiya Musashi had already walked to the door. Although she didn't expect the other party to react so fiercely, Tsunade really didn't want to lose her right-hand man. Even if she didn't count the conditions she had agreed to before. Just a critical moment can definitely be a cage-level combat force. She can't just let it go. Stinky man, you turn against me when you don't agree. Tsunade had to pretend to be calm on her face while complaining in her heart. Just now it was just a suggestion. There's nothing wrong with discussing ninjutsu and apprenticeship. Suzumiya Musashi was startled and then retreated tactically. Can it be discussed? Yes, Tsunade maintained the dignity of the Hokage. How to discuss it? Tsunade thought about it and picked up a pile of task books beside her. Oh, there are too many tasks in the village recently, and there are not enough people. It's really a headache. Suzumiya Musashi's expression kept changing. Although I know Tsunade, still trying to control him, but he doesn't need to worship a teacher anymore, and can get ninjutsu just by working overtime, which seems to be a good deal. His stern expression faded completely. He took a few steps forward and said seriously, Hokage-sama, as your capable subordinate, I will certainly share the task with you. Please give me your orders. Tsunade suppressed her lips and threw several tasks in her hand on the table in front of him. Yeah. Good attitude. After completing these tasks, come to me. Suzumiya Musashi hurriedly took the task book, looking attentive and serious. By the way, someone just reported that a prisoner escaped from the high-security facility. This is quite urgent, so go quickly. Escape, Suzumiya Musashi remembered that it seemed to be the time when Mizuki instigated it. I know, I'll go right away. Tsunade reminded, be careful, the other party is very cunning, even Asuma was fooled. Asuma, the guy whose mind is full of jade all day long. This thought flashed through his mind, and Suzumiya Musashi nodded. Please rest assured, Lord Hokage, I will complete the task. After he left, Tsunade chuckled. Haruno Sakura asked in surprise, Lord Hokage, does Senior Musashi also want to learn ninjutsu from you? Yes, Tsunade said. That guy has been planning for a long time. Haruno Sakura was puzzled. Isn't he a physical ninja? Moreover, his strength seems to be very strong. He is indeed very strong. But that guy is obviously not satisfied. He asked me to learn ninjutsu. Maybe he has some extraordinary plans in his mind. Let's not talk about him, Sakura. You don't have to call me Hokage in the future, just call me teacher. Okay, teacher. Sakura changed her words a little unaccustomed. I will definitely follow you and work hard. Tsunade chuckled, I know. Sasuke's departure has a great impact on you, but it's good this way. With motivation, your ninjutsu can improve faster. You are my disciple. You can't be left too far behind by Sasuke and Naruto. Do you hear me? I know, teacher. Haruno Sakura's eyes were full of determination. I will definitely try my best to catch up with them. Tsunade said, I will watch. On the other side, led by Gangziti, Suzumiya Musashi followed the mark all the way. Where is Shenyu Izumo? Isn't that guy with you all day? Suzumiya Musashi asked while running. Izumo is injured. Gangziti said, the enemy is very strong, we can't resist, just let someone follow first and come back to ask for support. Musashi Jonin, please be faster, don't worry about my speed, I'm afraid they will escape. Got it, Suzumiya Musashi didn't waste words. After noting the direction of the mark, the speed of the whole person suddenly increased. In the blink of an eye, he disappeared from Gangziti's sight. The latter was stunned for a moment. I just said it casually, how could it be so fast? Chapter 178. The scene in front of him changed, and Suzumiya Musashi followed the mark and kept chasing. After a while, there were sporadic sounds of fighting in front of him. Stop it! Stop it, don't fight anymore. The anxious and shrill female voice shouted. As Suzumiya Musashi approached, the scene in front of him became clear. Two enemies like meat mountains were constantly attacking under the siege of several ninjas. Wind God, Thunder God. The two had heavy bodies, and although their movements were a little slow, every attack was powerful. The few people who were besieging him included the young Ino Shikacho and two unfamiliar Chunins. At this moment, they relied on ninja tools and the occasional detonating talismans to hold each other back, and they did not dare to get close for a while. A gentle-looking woman was kneeling down beside him, crying sadly. Suzumiya Musashi walked over. Where is Mizuki? I don't know. The woman cried and shook her head. Why is this happening? You can live a good life, why? Realizing that he could not get any useful information from the other party, Suzumiya Musashi looked at the two brothers, the Wind God and the Thunder God, who were surrounded. Brother, I'm so annoyed. They are like flies. Thor just slapped them to death. But they run too fast. Then hit them harder. The two big guys talked back and forth, and there was no barrier to communication. Seeing the two men raising their two huge palms high, Suzumiya Musashi saw the situation and hurriedly reminded them. Be careful, everyone retreat. Hearing this, Nara Shikamaru quickly sent a signal, and several ninjas retreated together. Boom, tilde. The giant palm slapped the ground. Visible shock waves suddenly spread out, and the ground collapsed wherever they passed. Fortunately, several ninjas were reminded and pushed away in time, so they were not affected and injured. Is it a self-created move? Looking at the unique attack methods of the two, Suzumiya Musashi thought to himself. The two were very powerful, but the way they slapped the ground was not just simple power. It was able to spread more regularly. Is it a unique physical skill, or a move he learned by himself? Suzumiya Musashi is more inclined to the latter. With a natural supernatural physique and a good combat awareness, it is no wonder that Konoha's ninjas are difficult to deal with for a while. Brother, let them dodge again. I saw it, the new kid. He was the one who reminded me. Kill him. The Thunder God turned his eyes to Suzumiya Musashi, and then ran over with a bang. Brother, I'm hungry. Can I eat him directly? No, I just finished eating. How can I be hungry again? I'll eat later. Can't I just eat an arm? Kill him first. Thor was happy, looking at Suzumiya Musashi as if he was looking at a small cookie. You can eat. Boy, let me hit you. I'll let you go when I'm full. Nara Shikamaru hurriedly reminded, Senior Musashi, these two people are extremely powerful and ordinary attacks can't hurt them. Suzumiya Musashi did not answer, and looked at the wind god and the thunder god with some disgust. If I remember correctly, these two people once killed many companions because of hunger during the mission. It can be said that their IQ is almost 0. As the thunder leaped, it turned into armor and attached to it. Brother, look, this little man glows. It looks even tastier. Thor, that's called ninjutsu, but it doesn't matter, just hit him harder and he'll die. Swoosh tilde. The figure of Suzumiya Musashi suddenly disappeared. In everyone's sight, there was only an arc of lightning that was so fast that it was almost invisible. The wind god Thor opened his mouth wide in surprise, and the next moment, before they could react, a strong force suddenly fell on the back of their necks. Boom! Boom! For these two people, Suzumiya Musashi did not hold back at all. He exerted his speed and strength to the extreme, and he didn't even care whether the two would be killed by his attack. With two loud noises, the neck thicker than the head suddenly bent back, and the eyes bulged out. Then, with his eyes bulging, he fell down like two small mountains with a boom without saying a word. Just like that, Yamanaka Ino widened his eyes. Akimichi Choji opened his mouth wide. After a while, he found that the enemy was defeated, and he relaxed. He sat on the ground, took out the potato chips he brought with him, and started to eat them. The good appetite of the two brothers, the wind god and the thunder god, drove him to eat. I'm a little hungry. Nara Shikamaru looked at the two people who had tried their best to deal with the wind god and the thunder god. At this moment, they were lying on the ground like dead boars, and he couldn't help but sigh. Really, the power is completely different. Suzumiya Musashi restrained his chakra. Judging from the breath, the two people on the ground should not be dead. So he said to Nara Shikamaru, not far away, First, take care of the two of them and hand them over to Lord Hokage. Tell the Hokage that if they are useless, just kill these two people. He really didn't know what the point of locking up two human-shaped beasts with no IQ. If it weren't for Tsunade knowing them, he wouldn't keep the two alive. Where did Mizuki go, do you know? He asked again. He went to the northwest. He asked these two big guys to stop us. It won't take long, so they shouldn't be too far. Suzumiya Musashi quickly chased in the direction Nara Shikamaru said. After a while, he stopped in front of a cave. Hee. How hot. Inside the dark cave, there was a wild laugh. I succeeded. I finally got stronger. Accompanied by a familiar but slightly changed voice, footsteps in the cave came from far away. A tall shadow suddenly rushed out and then jumped high in the sky. Arahahas tilde. Now no one can stop me. Suzumiya Musashi looked up. Mizuki, the teacher who taught him during the ninja school. A big fake who has nothing good except his good looks. At this moment, the opponent has changed a lot. The original young and handsome ninja school teacher has become a muscular man. And his strong arms are still swelling, and strange lines are condensed on his body. Before Suzumiya Musashi spoke, a burst of hurried footsteps sounded behind him. Mizuki. Mizuki landed. Looking at the person who was shouting, a smug smile appeared on his face. It's you, Oroka. And Musashi. Just the two of you. There should be more people at such an exciting moment. Chapter 179. The old man was very happy. Shimu, don't make any more mistakes. Come back to the village with me. It's not too late. Faced with Uroka's pleading and persuasion, Shimu smiled happily. Uroka, you are still as naive as before. Uroka said, why do you have to go to this point today? Obviously, there is an extremely bright future. The weak have no future, Shimu shouted. Then his own speed increased rapidly, and he flashed in front of Uroka, and his strong arms that were not human suddenly grabbed the latter's neck. Just like you. Besides yelling, what else can you do now? Shiui Shimu, don't. Bang, he threw Uruka out fiercely. Shimu put his hands in front of his eyes full of excitement. Hilha Tahase. This is power, the power I dream of. My former opponent has become vulnerable. It's really a happy feeling, Tilda. Shimu, Uruka struggled to get up. Wake up. Have you forgot all the will of fire taught by the Hokage? Will of fire? Shimu looked at Uruka with disdain in his eyes. Except for a fool like you, who would believe in something that doesn't exist. What do you think, Musashi? Shimu looked at Suzumiya Musashi, his expression eager to try. Facing Shimu's sudden question, Suzumiya Musashi did not answer for a while. Will of fire. Maybe it exists. Maybe it existed when Hashirama Senju wanted to end the war. Maybe it existed when Tabarama Senju was alone to cover the rear. It existed when Tsunade decided to return to Konoha to succeed the Hokage. It's just possible. At other times, it might not be appropriate to call it the will of fire. The will of the high-level officials and the Hokage is more appropriate. But he didn't want to answer Mizuki's question. Mr. Mizuki, just surrender. Mizuki's happy eyes froze, and then he was furious in an instant. Damn it. Suzumiya Musashi. From the beginning, you looked down on me. I felt it when I was in school. Later, you became a jonin in the Anbo, and you came to arrest me. Do you know what I was thinking at that time? I thought that if one day I could personally trample the people who looked down on me under my feet, I would be willing to do anything for them. He waved his hands. Now this goal has finally been achieved. This is Orochimaru's appreciation of me, giving me powerful power. I am no longer the person I used to be. Suzumiya Musashi said lightly, Are you too confident in your own power? What did you say? Mizuki's face suddenly became fierce. His thick arms swung down, bringing a strong wind. You dare not recognize the power I got with great difficulty. You can die now. Swoosh, the tall body rushed out suddenly. Amidst the whistling wind, Shimu raised his arms with all his strength and smashed them down at Suzumiya Musashi. He wanted to let the other party know how powerful he was, and to make him like a tiny nail, nailed into the ground by him. Bang tilde. An arm blocked Shimu's arms that were smashed down with all his strength. On it, the faint lightning rotated like flowing water, and compared with his thick arms, it even looked a little thin and slender. However, it was this arm that easily blocked his attack without moving. Shimu could not accept the scene in front of him. Impossible, this is impossible. How can you block it? How can you block me? Shimu shouted crazily, raised his arms high again, and then smashed them down continuously. Facing the dense fists like raindrops, Suzumiya Musashi looked calm, and he could always use his hands to accurately and effectively intercept Shimu's attacks before the attacks arrived. As the attack continued, a hint of mockery appeared in Suzumiya Musashi's eyes. After all the hard work, this is it. Sui Mu was angered by his eyes. His eyes turned red in an instant, and he shouted, Don't underestimate me. This is Orochimaru. Boom, tilde, it was like thunder exploding in his ears. Sui Mu only felt a flash in front of his eyes, as if a blue arc of light flashed by. In an instant, his chest was numb. Before his body could react, he felt everything around him. Started to retreat instantly. The roar of trees breaking was heard in my ears. After a while, the roar subsided. Severe pain began to spread throughout my body. Within my sight, there was a straight and empty mark, and dust kept falling. Cough, cough, vomit tilde. The blood vomited out and fell to the ground, which was extremely dazzling in Shimu's eyes. He felt the pain coming from his body, and his eyes kept trembling. The voice of Suzumiya Musashi came from the front. After all the hardships, you are worthy. Kind words make good connections, and bad words hurt people's hearts. Suzumiya Musashi's disdainful words were like steel needles piercing Shimu's heart. Ah, tilde. He roared. Damn it, damn it. Why tilde? Suzumiya Musashi. Why, you dare to lecture me with such a high attitude? You are just luckier than me. But so what? I have the power left by Lord Orochimaru in my body. That is Lord Orochimaru, one of the 3 ninjas. You don't understand at all. Just watch, I will kill you with Lord Orochimaru's power. Kill all of you. Shuimu shouted frantically. As he was furious, a brand on his right arm slowly changed, and the violent and ominous chakra became active. Under the influence of this chakra, Shuimu's body changed again. His tall body swelled again, lines formed on his body, and layers of animal-like hair emerged from under his skin. Hadahata tilde. Uroka Suzumiya Musashi. Did you see that? This is the recognition given to me by Lord Orochimaru, the ultimate body. Suzumiya Musashi frowned and couldn't bear to look at Mizuki at the moment. Orochimaru planted the immortal chakra in his body, and he didn't know what it was for. It was a bit like the effect of the beggar's version of the high imitation curse seal. At this moment, with full force, Mizuki became neither human nor beast. Mizuki saw his eyes and was immediately angry. Suzumiya Musashi, what's that expression on your face? You look down on me, right? I'll let you see how powerful this body is now. Mizumi began to charge forward. The momentum of the whole person was indeed much stronger than before. However, it still could not pose a threat to Suzumiya Musashi. With a slightly more serious look, he judged Mizuki's extremely obvious attack intention and dodged the latter's hateful blow the moment his figure approached. Before the opponent could react, he bent over and punched. Bang, tilde. Mizuki's huge body suddenly arched up, like a prawn suddenly put into the pot. His body retreated instantly under the huge force. After knocking down several large trees again, he landed on all fours and stabilized his body like a beast. No, tilde. How can you block it? Suzumiya Musashi slapped off the few hairs on his fist and said, If I say that the ultimate body you said Orochimaru gave you is actually not much different from the 2 idiots you tricked out, do you believe it? Chapter 180. The 2 of them were so strong that they were so weak. Shuimu looked dazed. He only knew that the 2 big idiots were very strong. But before, he could not feel how strong they were. But he thought that no matter how strong they were, they could not be stronger than he was now. After all, the power in him was the power of Orochimaru. How could 2 idiots compare to him? Looking at the doubtful look on Shuimu's face, Suzumiya Musashi smiled. That's right. With your strength, you may not be able to see how strong those 2 idiots are. Because you are too weak. You know nothing about the power above the Jonin. That is a realm that you could not reach before. Mizuki heard his sarcasm and yelled, Shut up. How could those 2 guys be stronger than me now? Suzumiya Musashi continued, Teacher Mizuki. I remember I told you. Don't do anything weird, you are not that level. It seems that you didn't listen to my heart. Mizuki gritted his teeth tightly. He looked at Suzumiya Musashi, who didn't take him seriously, and his heart was filled with unprecedented violent, murderous intent. In your eyes, the 2 of them are just tools for you to fool around, but in fact, their strength is beyond your imagination. Because you don't understand how strong the power above the Jonin is. You always chase power and clamor to become stronger, but you are just a weak person and a mediocre person. Uroka, who is still hurting from his injuries, looked strange. Some mixed forces can make you lose your mind and become arrogant. Kill him. Shut him up. Mizuki's eyes were red, and he started running. In order to exert all his strength, he lay on the ground, using his thick and slender hands to gain leverage, just like a beast. Kill, kill, kill. As long as he kills the other party, he can prove his strength. The figures of both parties quickly enlarged in the sight, and then suddenly collided with each other. Facing Mizuki, who raised his body like a tiger, Suzumiya Musashi narrowed his eyes and prepared himself. At the moment of the collision, he suddenly twisted his body and kicked out. Strong force whirlwind. Boom, tilde. No dodge, no leverage. A whip kick hit Mizuki's strong chest. With a loud bang, the forward-leaning figure stiffened for a moment, and then the upper body suddenly leaned back. The lower body was still rushing forward under the action of inertia. Then, the nearly 2-meter-tall body suddenly spun vertically on the spot. Kuhu tilde. As the body spun rapidly, bringing with it gusts of wind, Uruka couldn't help but put his hands up to cover his face, revealing only a pair of squinting eyes. Then, in his shocked eyes, the spinning Mizuki slightly lifted up and then fell to the ground. Boom, a loud noise. Kneeling on the ground, the body was still. Like an old monk who had an epiphany, kneeling on the ground motionless. After a few breaths, the dust settled and the breeze blew. Mizuki finally came back to his senses. He wanted to say something, but his voice was a little dry. No, this is impossible. Orochimaru's power. Orochimaru's power is not invincible either. Suzumiya Musashi interrupted him. What's more, your so-called power doesn't represent the power of Orochimaru. How could it be? Mizuki couldn't believe it and murmured anxiously. This is the power he gave me personally. He recognized me after seeing me kill the teammates who were dragging me down. How could I be defeated so easily? Suzumiya Musashi tilted his head and said to Mizuki, "Is there a possibility?" "I mean possible. Even Orochimaru wouldn't take a fancy to you, a rubbish that killed teammates. It's just that you happened to find it, and I was too lazy to kill you myself, and then I picked an interesting way for you to die on a whim. Let you die under your greed for power." Mizumi's pupils shrank instantly. Suzumiya Musashi said to him, "So, Orochimaru never appreciated you, but just played with you." No, Mizuki repeated fearfully. Suzumiya Musashi said mercilessly, "I think this is reasonable. Because as far as I know, any follower of Orochimaru is not as talented as you." Suzumiya Musashi was not only mocking Mizuki's arrogance. He really thought so. No matter how bad Orochimaru was, he would not appreciate Mizuki, who had no talent. Trash. Maybe he just played a game on a whim after finding out that the other party had killed Konoha's teammates. After all, Orochimaru, who is followed by a large number of outstanding talents, is a Konoha male lecturer who is proficient in human nature. It is reasonable to let Mizuki die of drug abuse in 3 sentences. So, drug abuse will not end well. No, it must be that I did something wrong. Mizuki's body gradually withered and withered as he talked to himself like a demented person. Uruka was shocked. "Musashi Jonin, how can Mizuki?" "He can't die," Suzumiya Musashi said. "He just overdrew from drugs. He is so old, but still so naive. There is no power in the world that can be obtained without paying a price." He looked at Mizuki's appearance and felt a little sad in his heart. This is the end of being too eager for success. The other party had a bright future. He was enrolled in the ninja school, had good-looking facial features, and had a gentle, beautiful girlfriend who loved to wear suspenders. Now all of these are gone. So the pursuit of power can have a direction, but there is no shortcut. "Uruka Mizuki, please take him back," Suzumiya Musashi said to Uruka after confirming that the other party had no power. "Musashi Jonin, don't you go back with me?" Uruka asked. "No," Suzumiya Musashi took out other task scrolls. "I have other tasks to do." Mizuki's example told him that there is no shortcut to gain power except reincarnation. In order to get Tsunade's teachings as soon as possible, Suzumiya Musashi worked overtime to complete the task. For this reason, he kept going and moving around. Often when he arrived at the destination, as long as he confirmed that the target was correct, he would suddenly take action before the target of the task could react. He solved the confused opponent in a few seconds and continued to the next task. He rarely had time to go home. If the teammates in the Anbu knew about his current state, they would be shocked. Suzumiya Musashi, who used to love to slack off at work, is now even more stubborn than the most ruthless king of curry. Finally, with his outstanding strength and unremitting efforts, the high-level tasks piled up in Konoha have been rapidly reduced. Tsunade, who was originally overwhelmed by the tasks all day, finally relaxed. Looking at the much cleaner desk, she felt more and more how precious a capable subordinate is. The task that was expected to be completed in 3 months was basically completed in less than a month under Suzumiya Musashi's abnormal efficiency. What is a capable general? This is it. Chapter 181. The two of them were very busy and the two were busy. Konoha. Medical ninjutsu practice room. Knock knock, come in. Suzumiya Musashi pushed the door open, and Tsunade, who was teaching Haruno Sakura, looked up. Wait a moment. He turned his attention back to Haruno Sakura. The latter was putting her hands on a fish at the moment, and as the ninjutsu was performed, the unstable green chakra gathered in her hands. Until the fish jumped twice half-dead, Haruno Sakura stopped performing the palm fairy technique with sweat all over her head, and Tsunade stepped forward to check. Not bad, although it has not reached the qualified level, but it has made great progress. It should be fine after practicing for a while. Haruno Sakura's lost look was cheered up a little. Teacher, I will work hard. Okay, let's stop here today and go back. After saying goodbye to Haruno Sakura, Tsunade looked at Suzumiya Musashi. Come here. Haruno Sakura said hello to Suzumiya Musashi, packed up her practice items, and left the practice room. Before closing the door, she secretly glanced at Tsunade and Suzumiya Musashi in the room. A hint of curiosity flashed in her eyes. She found that Tsunade's attitude was very different from others when she was with Suzumiya Musashi. She couldn't tell exactly where it was different. Well, it seemed more casual. In front of other ninjas, Tsunade still had the temperament of a Hokage and was serious. Even in front of her, although gentle enough, there was a hint of teacher's majesty. The only difference is towards Suzumiya Musashi. Sometimes she would suddenly get angry without any scruples, and sometimes she would secretly feel proud because she succeeded in teasing him. If I had to describe it, it was as if she didn't have too much disguise in front of him. Am I wrong? Haruno Sakura whispered to herself. She wanted to eavesdrop through the crack of the door, but she was afraid that someone would find out when they passed by, and the two people inside were both powerful ninjas, if they were discovered. Shaking her head, she still gave up the tempting idea of eavesdropping, holding the dying fish, and went back to prepare dinner. The relationship between the teacher and Musashi Sr. is really curious. Inside the house, when there were only two people left, Tsunade walked to the chair in front of the bookshelf and sat down without any image. Are you back? I'm back. I have completed all the tasks you asked me to do. Tilda Tsunade responded weakly and then stretched her waist. Is teaching tiring? Suzumiya Musashi asked with concern. Not bad. Tsunade said, Sakura's talent for medical ninjutsu is okay. Compared to others, Haruno Sakura's talent is pretty good, but compared to Tsunade herself, of course it is much worse. It's just a little boring. There are a lot of work every day, and I have to find time to guide Sakura's practice. Now there is one more. Suzumiya Musashi hurriedly said, Hey. I have completed a lot of tasks over time. You can't tell me that you want to rest at this time. Tsunade rolled her eyes at him, anxious. I didn't say I would default on my debt. Since I promised you, of course I will do it. As she said that, Tsunade lingered in the comfort of the chair for a second, and then stood up and came to Suzumiya Musashi. Then let's get started. You want the yin seal and the summoning contract of the wet bone forest, right? Suzumiya Musashi nodded. Yes. By the way, if possible, your super strength. Tsunade looked at him with a squinted eye. I only have a few methods, and you've targeted them all, huh? Suzumiya Musashi scratched his head, a little embarrassed. That, for work for Konoha. Hokage-sama, I'm doing this to become stronger so I can help you better. Super strength, as Tsunade's signature attack method, is not weak. With the use of super strength, it can even surpass the Reikage in strength. Although Suzumiya Musashi has the 8 gates and lightning release activation, he is not particularly keen on super strength, but it is of course good to learn from it. Besides, he is not doing it all for himself. Tenten's talent for practicing the 5-attribute ninjutsu is a little poor. If possible, he wants to learn super strength and find an opportunity to teach it to Tenten in the future. There is no cheating. As an elder, of course, you have to make more plans for your children. HMPH, that's what you said. Tsunade didn't bother with him. Yin seal, psychic, supernatural power, basically my best. I have several techniques that I am good at. Which one have you decided to learn first? Hearing this, Suzumiya Musashi subconsciously raised his right hand and clenched it. I know all. Can't we learn them together? Tsunade thought for a moment and said, it's not impossible. Of these 3 techniques, Yin Seal is the most difficult, followed by Strange Power Technique. Summoning is the easiest, as long as the slug can recognize you. As she said this, Tsunade began to form seals and perform. Summoning technique, bang. A half-human-sized slug appeared on the table in front of him. Tsunade-sama, what do you need me to do? Slug, this guy wants to sign a summoning contract with Wet Bone Forest. What do you think? The slug squirmed and looked at Suzumiya Musashi. The 2 tentacle-like eyes moved up and down, as if feeling something. After a while, the slug's gentle voice sounded. The chakra is very cheerful and sunny. I haven't seen such pure chakra for a long time. The strength is also very strong. Tsunade showed a surprised look. She didn't expect that the slug's evaluation of Suzumiya Musashi would be so good. It's good that she can get such a positive evaluation from the slug, and she has no worries about teaching the other party. Tsunade-sama, as long as you have no objection, you can sign the contract. Tsunade raised her head and signaled Suzumiya Musashi, who was inevitably a little happy. Slug Sage, thank you for your recognition. Haha, the slug laughed pleasantly. Just call me Slug. Slug, please teach me more in the future. After leaving a handprint on the contract scroll and the slug left, Tsunade put away the scroll. So next, will you start with the Yin Seal or the Strange Power Technique? Teach me both at the same time. I can practice slowly. Tsunade raised her lips. You are so anxious. Well, I can teach you both. However, I will check your progress. If your progress does not satisfy me, I will get angry. Suzumiya Musashi's expression froze, and he said embarrassedly, that I will also work hard. He thought of his talent in ninjutsu, which did not seem to be particularly good. He was not very confident about satisfying Tsunade. My Strange Power Technique is a technique that gains powerful strength through bursts based on precise chakra control and physical fitness. Although it requires meticulousness and precision in the process of performing, it belongs to the rigid nin, physical technique flow in terms of style. It fits you quite well. The key point of super strength is Chapter 182. The story is about the past, and the present is about the future. As Tsunade was explaining, Suzumiya Musashi took out his notebook and began to mark it. He asked questions when he encountered something he didn't understand. After a while, Tsunade finished explaining the key points of the Strange Power Technique and asked Suzumiya Musashi, do you understand it all? Almost, Suzumiya Musashi said, I basically understand it, but I don't know if it's easy to master it. Tsunade said, let's try it now. Try it? Suzumiya Musashi looked at Tsunade's affirmative expression and had to say, then let's try it. Stretch out the right hand that he is best at. Chakra is under control and steadily emerges in his hand. Tsunade threw a heavy book at the right time. Suzumiya Musashi took aim, and as his right hand slapped it neither fast nor slow, chakra burst out in his palm. Bang! With a muffled sound, the heavy book was slammed to the ground. Suzumiya Musashi quietly felt the impact in his hands and heard Tsunade's voice in his ears. The chakra control level is not bad, but the performance of the technique is a mess. The direction of the explosion is also wrong. Go back and practice well. Suzumiya Musashi accepted Tsunade's evaluation completely. Putting the Strange Power Technique aside, he began to ask about the content of the Yin Seal technique. That night, after Suzumiya Musashi returned home, he hurriedly ate dinner and hid in the room to start practicing the new technique, even forgetting to be intimate with I.M. at night. Until late at night, I.M. reminded him to go to bed early, and he woke up. Sorry, I forgot the time. It's okay, I.M. said softly. You should also pay attention to rest. I don't understand the training, but I know that nothing can be rushed. As the person next to him, she can clearly sense the excitement of Suzumiya Musashi, and she is also happy for him. Yeah, I know. After Suzumiya Musashi washed up, they turned off the lights and fell asleep in each other's arms. No tonight. It can not only allow Suzumiya Musashi to conserve more energy, but also give himself a holiday. Suzumiya Musashi tossed and turned for a while before falling asleep. The long-awaited technique finally came, and his excitement was indeed difficult to suppress. The next day, his biological clock made him wake up early, and after a quick wash, he immersed himself in training again. Musashi, it's time for breakfast. I know. Under the stunned eyes of Iame and Uzumaki Karin, Suzumiya Musashi solved the battle in tens of seconds, and then began to plunge into training. What happened to my brother? Or did he suffer a blow? Uzumaki Karin asked Iame. The latter smiled lightly. He must have found some treasure. He's so old, but he's still like a child. In the following days, Suzumiya Musashi devoted himself to practice. Except for eating, all other activities that took up time were stopped. Tsunade also saw his state, and considering that he had just worked overtime to solve a lot of trouble for her, she didn't assign him any more tasks. So, Suzumiya Musashi spent his time practicing and asking Tsunade for advice. Hokage, I don't understand this. Chakra control should be moderate. What is the degree of moderation? Hokage, there seems to be something wrong when I perform it. Can you feel it? Hokage, must the chakra accumulated in the yin seal be used in one go? Can the seal be stopped in the middle? As Suzumiya Musashi asked questions, Tsunade's attitude gradually changed from persuasive at the beginning to limited patience. Finally, she got angry. You guy, what the hell is in your head? You are as stupid as a pig. Why do you care whether you can stop or not? Just do what I say, right? The progress of the strange power is too slow. It doesn't match your strength. You are not doing it on purpose. I am so angry, bang. Tsunade found that Suzumiya Musashi had so many problems when he was practicing that it was annoying. Not only that, the speed of progress shown by the other party was also different from what she imagined. In her opinion, Suzumiya Musashi has already reached the level of Kage at such a young age. Although it is due to the explosiveness, it is also amazing. His chakra control level and physical skills are extremely excellent. Such a person should be a genius. Aren't they all quick learners? Just like Minato Namikaze and Orochimaru. But she found that she was wrong. The other party's progress is not even as fast as Haruno Sakura gave her. I just can't figure out, with your talent, how did you get so strong? Tsunade said angrily. Suzumiya Musashi scratched his head in grievance. It's just, I practice slowly. He felt wronged, and he had never admitted that he was very talented. His strength was obviously the result of hard practice. Since he was 4 years old. Choose a direction, think carefully, be good at summarizing, and then keep trying and practicing. As long as he is sure that the intensity of practice does not exceed the limit that the body can bear, he can keep practicing. Boring, there is no such concept. Vacation. Only those who are useless to the ninja world will take a vacation. What vacation is he taking? As for the limit of will, there is no limit to his will. As long as the body does not collapse, Zio Lee will cry when he sees it. In order to survive. In order to protect Iame and his family. In order to make Uzumaki Kushin, a child Nai's story is no longer repeated. In order to deal with possible enemies. He abandoned many things that others used for entertainment and fun, and threw himself into practice. With the strength that I have cultivated through hard work, Tsunade, what right do you have to question me? Of course, he only thought about these words in his mind. He can tolerate all of Tsunade's temper. As for other aspects, Suzumiya Musashi dare not boast. He will be absent in class, slack at work, and feel itchy when he sees attractive girls on the street. And then he remembers that he is a married man. But respecting teachers is definitely one of his great advantages. It's just cursing, what's the big deal? It doesn't matter if you hit me. Bang, whatever you think, it will come true. A slap on the head. Stupid, come again, Tsunade said angrily. After shouting, she felt a little regretful. She seemed to be too rude to Suzumiya Musashi. The other party just came to ask for advice. At least he worked hard and his attitude was fine. Was she too much? She felt a little uneasy. But then, Tsunade found that her worries were unnecessary. Suzumiya Musashi could accept her scolding without changing his expression. Even when she took action, he was not angry at all. She even felt that the moment she hit him on the forehead, the other party's eyes showed that he was definitely not angry or dissatisfied. It seemed familiar and enjoyable. It seemed nostalgic. Tsunade shook her head and dispelled the strange thoughts in her mind. She felt that she must have seen things wrong. How could someone be happy to be beaten and scolded? There is no such perverted person. Find the feeling again, chakra control needs to be improved. She slowed down her tone. Suzumiya Musashi nodded and said with full energy, "Yeah, come again." Tsunade, Chapter 183. The two of them were forced to leave. 1 month later. With Tsunade's hard work, the training of the strange power technique was finally on the right track. For this reason, Tsunade was greatly relieved. Teaching Suzumiya Musashi was more difficult than teaching Sakura. The only advantage was that Sakura could not beat or scold her casually, but Suzumiya Musashi could. When she was unhappy, she just did it boldly. What surprised her was that she originally thought that the teaching process of Yin Seal would be more difficult. After all, the difficulty of Yin Seal was higher than that of strange power technique. Unexpectedly, Suzumiya Musashi's learning progress was beyond her expectations. Why didn't I see you so smart when I was learning strange power technique? Tsunade wondered. Well, maybe I'm better at sealing techniques. Suzumiya Musashi told the truth. The characteristics of Yin Seal are gentle and stable. It is necessary to continuously control the chakra to seal in a fixed way and release it through a unique seal to achieve the purpose of restoring physical strength and injuries. The difficulty of mastering it lies in the involvement of sealing ability. Suzumiya Musashi has been studying sealing techniques for many years, and his mastery of sealing techniques has long reached the requirements for the performance of Yin Seal, so it is not difficult to learn. For him, the subsequent continuous chakra input may be more of a headache. The ninja who masters the Yin Seal needs to input a large amount of chakra every day to increase the total amount of stored chakra and make up for the consumption of dissipation. If Suzumiya Musashi cannot solve this problem, it will also have a certain impact on his future progress in practicing physical techniques and other ninjutsu. The strange power technique is different. This is a new technique, and the way of performing it is also different from Suzumiya Musashi's other methods. Learning strange power techniques is equivalent to practicing from scratch, and the speed is naturally not as fast as the Yin Seal. It's okay. In general, Suzumiya Musashi's training speed is only unsatisfactory to Tsunade. Tsunade said, Sakura's medical ninjutsu has been practiced very well, and she finally didn't embarrass herself in front of the children. Suzumiya Musashi said, how can we argue about the length of training? Besides, Sakura's fast progress in training is also a good thing. What's there to be embarrassed about? It may be a bit false to say that he doesn't care, but Suzumiya Musashi is very open-minded about talent. For him, as long as he does his best, there is nothing to regret. Really, that's what you think? Tsunade smiled and said, when Sakura has mastered medical ninjutsu to a certain extent, my super strength and Yin Seal may also be passed on to her. By then, if you are beaten down by her super strength, it's best to be as open-minded as you are now. Suzumiya Musashi, if Sakura can really do it, it will be a good thing for Konoha. I'll wait and see. Okay, stop talking nonsense. Tsunade said, I've seen you've been busy during this period, and I've taken good care of you on the missions. Now that you've entered the door of practice, it's time to start accepting missions. Suzumiya Musashi looked embarrassed. Can't you take it slow? Aren't there other ninjas? Tsunade looked at him incomprehensibly and said, with someone as useful as you, isn't it a waste to just sit there idle? Besides, I've spent so much time and energy teaching you ninjutsu, not just hoping that you can solve problems. And Tsunade stared into Suzumiya Musashi's eyes. I know your strength very well. You must show a full attitude when doing the mission. I heard that when the third-generation old man was in power, you were slacking off all day. Hee, Suzumiya Musashi smiled awkwardly. How could it be? No way. How can the third generation, old man, compare with you? Don't worry, I will definitely show a full attitude when doing the mission. If calculated according to the percentage system. Since the last time he went out, Suzumiya Musashi and Nijiri Oki have rarely met. In order to keep in touch, Suzumiya Musashi specially found Nijiri Oki and suggested that the two of them play together. The latter readily agreed. So, in the following time, Suzumiya Musashi and Nijiri Oki stayed together every day. When he was free, Suzumiya Musashi chatted with him for a few words and spent more time practicing. If there was a mission, Nijiri Oki was responsible for sorting out the information and then drew the big bird to take the two of them to the destination quickly. When they met the target, Suzumiya Musashi took action to solve it. Everything was harmonious and natural, and Suzumiya Musashi's mission efficiency was greatly improved. Unfortunately, it didn't take long for Nijiri Oki to find something wrong. Musashi, you are asking me to come out and play. You are just looking for free labor, right? Suzumiya Musashi said, how is it possible? Oki, don't misunderstand me. I misunderstood you. Nijiri Oki would not be fooled by him again, he said angrily. It's obviously your task. Why do you want me to do the preparation work? I'm just afraid that you will be bored. Nijiri Oki stared at him. Okay. Suzumiya Musashi saw that he couldn't fool him, so he had to say, I have encountered some difficulties in my training recently, and there are many tasks in the village. I can't help it. I saved a brother of yours. Who else can I ask for help if not you? Nijiri Oki's anger suddenly subsided, but he still complained. Then you can't fool me. How could I fool you? Suzumiya Musashi explained. I really feel that I haven't been out for a long time, so I took you out to play. Tusk tilde, that's a nice thing to say. Spike, Suzumiya Musashi, had to come up with the prepared excuse. Oki, help me, don't worry, I won't let you help for nothing. Nijiri Oki looked at him suspiciously. What conditions are you going to use to impress me? Suzumiya Musashi smiled. Do you remember your unique sealing technique? You mean the double princess seal? Yes, do you think there is any room for improvement in that technique? Nijiri Oki said, that's just a technique I haven't completed yet. According to my original idea, this technique should be called the 8 princess seal. Once it is performed, 8 young ladies can be summoned. One each of the 5 attributes of wind, fire, earth, thunder, and water, plus the yin and yang attributes, and finally one how about the endless muscle girl? How about the technical support of sealing? Can't wait. In the subsequent period of time, the daily life of Musashi was practicing and practicing. During the period, there was no other thing to send a ninja information except that Tao Dai did not cut over. Nijiri Oki will take care of everything. When the other party reminds him to take action, he will take action to complete the task. From discovering the target to solving the target, it is generally controlled within 3 minutes. Although the time actually used to complete the task every day is very small, the task volume is definitely up to standard. If the dead Sarutobi Hiruzen knew his current daily work progress, he might be so angry that he would come back to life. When you were in the Anbu, you were not like this now. Chapter 184. The two of them were so busy that they had to face each other. Boom, tilde. As another enemy was solved by Suzumiya Musashi, the tasks at hand were finally completed. Oki, I'm so lucky to have you, Suzumiya Musashi said with heartfelt emotion. Thank you, Nijiri Oki rolled his eyes. After clearing the tasks at hand again, Suzumiya Musashi went to the Hokage building for handover, while Nijiri Oki left alone. For him, the big-breasted woman sitting in the Hokage's office was too scary, and it was better not to see her. Halfway through the journey, he suddenly saw Tian, who was in a panic. Tianshin. Teacher, you're back, Tianshin said in surprise. I haven't seen you for a long time. There are a lot of tasks recently. Suzumiya Musashi said, what are you doing, so flustered? Tianshin said excitedly, Teacher, we found a secret. Secret? Yes, we found a person who should have died. The user of the Konoha Dragon God, recorded in the Konoha Taijutsu secret biography, Teacher Chen. Teacher, do you want to go with us? Teacher Chen's taijutsu is so powerful. Zio Li was beaten badly. Suzumiya Musashi said curiously, Tianchen, are you excited because of Teacher Chen? Or because you are excited because you are beaten in your heart? Of course. Of course it's because of Teacher Chen, Tianchen said with a lack of confidence. Let's not talk about this, teacher. Do you want to come with us? Aren't you good at taijutsu? You can communicate with Teacher Chen. A weirdly dressed old man appeared in Suzumiya Musashi's mind. He shook his head and said, forget it. You guys go, I won't go. I still have to go to the Hokage. Tilda Tianchen said, teacher, don't you really want to go with me? No. Suzumiya Musashi was not very interested in this Teacher Chen. The name of Konoha Dragon God sounds intimidating, but in the ninja world, it is actually not very famous. Not to mention the 8 gates, even compared with the gentle fist and the super strength technique, it is far inferior. Although it looks good, it is at best just a unique ninjutsu, and the attack effect is even somewhat similar to the Yatagnya of the Inuzuka family, which is of no help to him. Okay then, Tianchen had to give up the plan to call Suzumiya Musashi to go with him. Before leaving, Suzumiya Musashi still reminded him, tell Zio Li that the weakness of the Konoha Dragon God is in the center of the tornado. Try to break through with the strongest attack, maybe there is a chance. Got it, Tianchen responded, and then hesitated. Looking at the expression of his apprentice, Suzumiya Musashi knew what he was thinking and said with a smile, okay. When I'm done with this, I'll definitely take you to find the summoning beast. Tenten left with satisfaction. In the Hokage's office, Tsunade was buried in her papers, and she didn't even look up when Suzumiya Musashi entered the room. The latter took a few steps closer, looking over the pile of documents, and didn't see Tsunade's lowered face, but only saw 2 big thunders barely placed between the table and her chin. Suzumiya Musashi took 2 steps back and reminded. You're back. Tsunade raised her head and saw that it was Suzumiya Musashi, and breathed a sigh of relief. Yeah, Suzumiya Musashi handed the mission situation to Tsunade. You're back just in time. Tsunade said, there's a more urgent mission that requires you to run again. Another mission? Suzumiya Musashi asked in confusion, didn't you say there weren't many missions left? A temporary change, Tsunade explained. Enemy appeared near Sand Village. Naruto and Gaara went together, but the situation changed unexpectedly. Suzumiya Musashi was immediately worried. What is the strength of the enemy? Tsunade said, it is not clear yet. The information sent back said that they are the descendants of the original craftsman village, and now they are in big trouble. If you want to go, do it as soon as possible. Suzumiya Musashi nodded, I'll go now. Then he said, after this, don't forget what you promised me, give me a holiday. Got it, Tsunade waved her hand, and then ignored him and buried her head in the documents again. Walking out of the Hokage's office, Suzumiya Musashi did not dare to delay. He took out the scroll left to him by Nijiri Oki, summoned a giant eagle, and flew straight to the location of Sand Village. With Suzumiya Musashi urging the giant eagle to fly at full speed, the journey that originally took several days was greatly shortened. Half a day later, before reaching the Sand Village, Suzumiya Musashi had already keenly sensed the sound of fighting coming from afar. As he got closer, the sound of fighting weakened. When the characters appeared in his sight, the first thing Suzumiya Musashi saw was Uzumaki Naruto, who was panicking and scratching the iron sheet frantically on a metal cage. Gaara tilde. Uzumaki Naruto, who was full of worry, did not notice the appearance of Suzumiya Musashi, but the enemy suspended in the air noticed him first. The enemy had white hair, white clothes, and even his skin was sickly pale. The strange, tiger-headed ninja tool stood upright in front of his waist, and behind him were 3 sharp blades with fangs and claws. It was Kingaming, the founder of the resurrected artisan village. Looking at Suzumiya Musashi, who landed from the giant eagle, a trace of contempt flashed in his eyes. Reinforcements. Suzumiya Musashi ignored the other party and looked at Uzumaki Naruto. Naruto. Boss, hearing the familiar voice, Uzumaki Naruto's anxious face suddenly showed a look of surprise. Boss, help, Gaara is injured and is now trapped inside. Got it, come down quickly. Upon hearing this, Uzumaki Naruto immediately jumped off the iron cage and ran to Suzumiya Musashi's side. Kingaming did not stop him, but slowly said, "Are you the only one coming to support?" Suzumiya Musashi, I'm enough. Haha, arrogant. Kingaming said, waving the sharp blade on his body, a tornado rose out of thin air, whistling towards Suzumiya Musashi. Suzumiya Musashi grabbed Uzumaki Naruto and dodged. Get out of the way first. Leave this to me. Throwing Uzumaki Naruto far away, Suzumiya Musashi stared at Kingaming and moved suddenly. The figure disappeared in the blink of an eye and appeared again in front of Kingaming. Ding tilde. Suzumiya Musashi crossed his arms in front of him. He looked at the deep marks left by the sharp blade on the weighted metal strip, and his expression was solemn. What a sharp sword. On the opposite side, Kingaming's eyes also flashed with a trace of surprise. Is your speed very good? It seems that you are not an ordinary ninja. Suzumiya Musashi did not answer, and the lightning armor covered his arms and began to attack rapidly. Ding 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 ding, tilde. The sound continued, and the fire exploded. Suzumiya Musashi's speed was already very fast, but the opponent's defense was impenetrable. The three sharp blades on his body were like living things. When Kingaming himself could not react, they quickly blocked Suzumiya Musashi's continuous attack. The weighted metal and lightning armor on his arms were almost difficult to maintain under the sharpness. Boom tilde. Suddenly, a hurricane appeared out of nowhere, and Suzumiya Musashi had to protect himself and retreat. Ha. Seeing that he had to retreat, Kingaming laughed happily. How about my ninja tool? Pretty good, right? This is the most gorgeous work of Artisan Village. A perfect creation that can put an end to your ninja. Come on, keep attacking me. Let me feel the ninja's final struggle. Chapter 185. The two of them were in a state of panic, and the two of them were in a state of panic. Boss, are you okay? Uzumaki Naruto's worried voice came from behind, and Suzumiya Musashi said without turning his head, I'm fine. His eyes stayed on the strange weapon on Kingaming. The opponent's strength is not strong, let alone the level of cage. Even among the Jonin, the opponent's strength is not top-notch. What really caused him trouble was the weapon on the opponent's body, which seemed to have spirituality and could automatically block his attack, and was extremely sharp. What's wrong? Are you scared? Kingaming floated in the sky, looking down at Suzumiya Musashi. That's right. How can a mere ninja possibly surpass the most powerful masterpiece of our craftsman village? Being able to die at my hands is your best fate. Kingaming looked at Suzumiya Musashi indifferently. Even though the other party was a powerful ninja who was far more powerful than himself, he did not take him seriously. In his eyes, ninjas were just dust and old things that were about to be eliminated by the times. Swoosh, the three sharp edges behind him suddenly extended out like a poisonous snake spitting out its tongue, attacking Suzumiya Musashi. The latter flashed back and back again. Haha, you can only run away. Of course, it is understandable that you run away now. After all, compared to death, living is also a good choice. You think too much, Suzumiya Musashi said coldly. Retreating far away to a safe distance, he looked at Kingaming, who seemed to have everything under control, and his heart gradually calmed down. The power hidden in the body is ready to go. The opponent's strength is not strong. With the help of special ninja tools, he barely has the means to resist the cage level. It's just a trick. Since learning the yin seal, I haven't been able to try the specific effect of this ninjutsu. The current situation is very suitable for testing the specific situation of the yin seal. As his mind turned, Suzumiya Musashi no longer hesitated, and the chakra suddenly surged in his body. Boom, boom, boom. A rumbling sound came from the body, like a rushing river. Opening door, resting door, life door. The shackles of the human body were opened one after another. The fierce momentum instantly rushed into the sky. What kind of technique is this? Kingaming found that the situation was a little bad. No matter how arrogant he would not be indifferent to this amazing momentum. What kind of technique is this? You are not qualified to know. Suzumiya Musashi's tone was exactly the same as Kingaming's previous tone. Just like you said, it's a good thing that you can die under this technique. The seventh shock gate, open. Boom, tilde the sand and gravel surged, and the air shook. The blue breath visible to the naked eye was like an ancient beast, wreaking havoc in the sight. Damn it, Kingaming's face was no longer calm. The figure floating in the air quickly moved to the iron cage that trapped Gaara. With the activation of the tiger head ninja tool on his chest, a large amount of chakra surged into his body. Not only that, even the chakra that escaped in the space was sucked into the mouth of the tiger head and transformed into part of Kingaming's body strength. Playing tricks, Kingaming frowned and said hatefully, "No matter what ninjutsu you have, in front of my ninja tool, the end is the same." Suzumiya Musashi no longer paid attention to Kingaming's thoughts at this moment. All his mind was on himself. He just wanted to try the technique he mastered. Without Kingaming, the target of his spell would probably be the rocks and plants in remote places. And now, Kingaming just gave him a living target. Yin Seal Release. Following the steps taught by Tsunade, Suzumiya Musashi opened the Yin Seal. As the spell unfolded, the energy pool that had just begun to accumulate in the body began to surge, and then quickly surged out, penetrating the whole body. HMPH tilde, because it was the first time to perform it, the energy output was too fast, and even Suzumiya Musashi's body was somewhat impacted. But soon, as he increased control, the energy sealed by the Yin Seal began to stabilize and flow. Suzumiya Musashi collected his mind and felt it carefully. The effect of the Yin Seal on the body, when the 8 gates of Dunjia were opened to 7. It can replenish the burning of body energy. After a moment, Suzumiya Musashi came to a preliminary conclusion. But it was not enough. Now it is just the state of opening the 7 gates, and he still has to try whether the Yin Seal can achieve the effect he wants during high-intensity combat. Then he turned his gaze to Kingaming in the distance, who was still absorbing Gaara's chakra with a cold and pale face. At this moment, there was already a slight blush. Haha tilde, are the ninjas of Konoha ready? The ultimate ninja tools of the artisan village and the powerful force of the tailed beasts. What can you do to deal with them? Go to hell. Boom, tilde. The storm mixed with sand and dust came violently, and there were countless bright, sharp blades visible to the naked eye, each of which had the destructive power to cut gold and crush stones. Suzumiya Musashi took a deep breath, and the chakra and energy in his body were exerted without reservation, and his hands quickly pushed forward. Daytime tiger, tilde. Roar. No nonsense, no temptation, just a move with all his strength. The roar of the beast that shook the wilderness spread visible ripples, and as a huge tiger head phantom appeared out of thin air in the sky and earth, the clear and bright suddenly changed color. Tornadoes, sharp blades, sand and dust. Everything visible to the naked eye was annihilated under the white tiger phantom. The white tiger roared forward. Kingaming, floating in the air, looked up and saw the huge phantom of the tiger head. A fear deep in his heart emerged uncontrollably. No, impossible. It's just a ninjutsu. It can't be my opponent. Kingaming roared. He suddenly inserted his hands into the tiger head ninja tool on his chest. As the blood flowed and poured into the tiger head, a large amount of chakra began to be input, and Kingaming's face turned pale again. The originally round and white cheeks gradually turned purple and sunken. It was as terrifying as if he had not been resurrected. Kingaming opened and closed his mouth, and his voice was extremely hoarse. Go to death. Along with its changes, the tiger head ninja tool on his chest also became several circles larger, almost the same size as his entire body. Then, a violent suction came out from the big mouth of the tiger head ninja tool, and a tornado was born out of thin air. Chakra, air, dust. Everything in front of him was sucked in by the tiger head ninja tool and disappeared into his mouth, like a bottomless pit. Ha ha ha. Kingaming laughed hoarsely and sharply, looking crazy. Die, all of you tilde. People from the 5 great countries, the ninjas who were once high and mighty, all of you die. The infinite whole armor has a devouring power that ninjas cannot match. Your chakra, everything about you, will become our nourishment. Under this nourishment, the artisan village will grow into an existence that surpasses the 5 great countries. Just like what you did before, use your powerful strength to become justice that abuses everything. Chapter 186. The sound of the sword was so loud that the sword was not strong enough. Unfortunately, his voice was drowned in the roar of the day tiger. And Suzumiya Musashi didn't even pay attention to him, and all his mind was used to feel his own changes. Kingaming saw all this, and the resentment in his eyes almost overflowed. Damn ninja, dare to ignore me. I will definitely make you die ugly. Wait for my infinite whole armor to absorb all the techniques you cast. The rumbling sound interrupted Kingaming's thoughts. The 3 weapons behind him sensed the danger and blocked him. He reacted belatedly, and just as his eyes moved away from Suzumiya Musashi, he looked up and saw a tiger head phantom that covered the sky and roared at him. No, shouldn't it be absorbed? Kingaming's last thought flashed through his mind. The next second, a huge tiger head shadow swept past. The world seemed to be filled with endless roars. The sword blade bent. The ninja tool was broken. Kingaming, who was floating in the air like an immortal, only lasted for less than a breath, and his flesh and blood were shattered into ashes in the fierce pressure. Boom, boom, boom. The whistling and shaking sound gradually faded away, leaving only 100-meter-long trace on the spot. The land rolled up, and there was nothing. Guru Tilda Uzumaki Naruto hid in the distance, watching the horrific scene caused by Suzumiya Musashi, and couldn't help swallowing his saliva. Although Suzumiya Musashi was his boss and the closest person, but under this nearly destructive force, he still felt shocked from the bottom of his heart. Boss, is the boss still a human? Uzumaki Naruto whispered to himself, easing the shock just now. But then he saw Suzumiya Musashi still standing there, muttering something with his eyes slightly closed. The next second, his arms attacked forward again. Daytime tiger, tilde. Boom, 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 tilde. Another terrifying tiger head shadow. The land that had been plowed once rolled up again. The enemy is gone. What is the boss doing? Whip the corpse. Uzumaki Naruto grinned and couldn't help but feel pity for Kingaming. Why mess with the boss when there are no other people to mess with? If you had spoken more nicely, you wouldn't have been left with nothing now. Suzumiya Musashi was certainly not whipping the corpse. He was just testing his yin seal. The result made him very satisfied. The energy of the yin seal can make up for the consumption of itself in the 8 gates of ninjutsu to a certain extent. Moreover, the originally envisioned function of being able to quickly recover from injuries after the 8 gates of ninjutsu is also there. With the 7th gate open, he fired several day tigers in a row, and the deficit and torn muscles on his body recovered quickly with the replenishment of yin seal energy. Even after closing the 8 gates, the side effects were greatly reduced. Yes, opening his eyes, Suzumiya Musashi excitedly waved his fist. His biggest worry at the moment was finally solved. He finally saw the dawn of immortality with the full opening of the 8 gates. As long as he continued to improve the yin seal technique in subsequent practice and research, optimize the sealing and storage of the energy pool, and adjust the stored energy characteristics, maybe it won't be long before the upper limit of the forbidden technique of the 8 gates will be raised to a terrifying level. Boss, Uzumaki Naruto's voice brought Suzumiya Musashi back to reality. Oh, Naruto, what's wrong? Uzumaki Naruto looked at the boss, who was excited because of the whipping corpse, pointed to the side and said, Gaara hasn't come out yet. After rescuing Gaara, Suzumiya Musashi didn't want to see the latter and Uzumaki Naruto throwing themselves together and caring for each other, so he went to the side to collect ninja tools. The cage that trapped Gaara was intact. Unfortunately, the ninja tools that Kingaming was wearing were already broken beyond recognition. Except for a few deformed sword blades, the rest of the parts were all shattered into pieces under the huge force. Originally, he was thinking about packing up the ninja tools and taking them away, especially the tiger head that could absorb chakra, which he was very interested in. Now he can only take some fragments back. That night, the Sand Village warmly entertained the people who came to Konoha to help. Gaara, who was the wind shadow at the time, was even more impressed by the younger generation of Konoha. After the banquet, Suzumiya Musashi returned to Konoha with a group of genin and chunin, and then went to find Tsunade without stopping. He had a lot of experience and questions about the Yin Seal, and he must communicate with the other party. Rasengan. Rasengan. Spiral. The sun was shining. In a corner of Konoha, Tenten was attacking a boulder. The blue Rasengan drilled round pits into the hard boulder, and it could no longer be seen in its original shape. Spiral, Tilda finally, Tenten stopped, holding her knees with both hands and breathing heavily. Tenten, what's wrong? You look upset. Hyuga Neji stopped practicing his soft fist and came over to ask with concern. Lock Lee, who was squatting on the side, said, You look upset. I can't tell. Isn't Tenten practicing hard? Practice your squats. Hyuga Neji rolled his eyes at Rock Lee and then handed Tenten's water bottle to her. Are you unhappy about something? I'm fine, Tenten shook her head. Tenten, Hyuga Neji said slowly, don't use such words to perfunctorily deal with me. Tell me what's the matter. Tenten said shyly, actually, nothing. It's just that I've been progressing slowly recently. Hyuga Neji smiled and said, Tenten, you're too anxious. Your physical skills are still improving recently, and you haven't encountered a bottleneck. In addition, your Rasengan is already very powerful. Tenten shook his head and said, No. I have learned the Rasengan for a long time, and practicing it in the short term will only have a limited effect on improving my strength. And I haven't mastered the other technique that the teacher taught me. I've obviously worked very hard. Hyuga Neji said, Is the other technique difficult? Yeah, Tenten nodded. It's been so long since the Chunin exam, and I don't even have a clue. Hyuga Neji couldn't help asking, Is it still an A-level ninjutsu? Tenten's eyes dodged. Hyuga Neji. Suddenly, he didn't want to comfort the other party. After all, he is still his good partner. After sorting out his mood, Hyuga Neji comforted him. Tenten, practice is not something that can be rushed. The more powerful the ninjutsu, the more unimaginable hard work it takes. You have Musashi Jonin to guide you, which is better than most people's conditions. As long as you keep working hard, things will always get better. Tenten nodded, I know that too. I just can't help but feel a little anxious. I thought it would be so awesome if I could learn ninjutsu quickly and find a few powerful summoning beasts. But now there is only that guy Vulture. Hyuga Neji was about to continue persuading, but Tenten had already stood up and clenched his fists. Forget it, don't think about it. You can't rely on the teacher for everything. I have to work hard too. I want him to see that even if I rely on myself, I can become stronger. Tenten was excited. At this moment, an abrupt voice sounded behind him. What do you want me to see? Tenten, are you secretly saying bad things about the teacher again? Chapter 187. The sound of a sudden explosion was so loud that it was difficult to stop. Tianchen was startled by the sudden sound. When she saw that the person was Suzumiya Musashi, she was immediately embarrassed and said, Teacher, you are deliberately scaring me. Suzumiya Musashi smiled and said, No, I just want to hear what bad things you say about me. Tianchen grabbed Suzumiya Musashi's arm and shook it, saying, Teacher is the best. How could I say bad things about you? Well, Tilda, I believe you. Ghost Tilda. Seeing that Tianchen was depressed, Suzumiya Musashi stopped teasing her and said, Tell your family when you go back tonight and get ready. Prepare for what? Tianchen asked. Prepare to go out with me. Go out? Tianchen's eyes lit up, and she had a guess in her heart but was not sure. Teacher, what you mean is, yes, take you on a long journey. Haven't you always wanted a summoning beast? The teacher will take you out to catch one. Ten's face was filled with joy. Great. Teacher, are we just the two of us? In Kurin, Haku will follow. Yeah, Tilda Tenten jumped up happily. Going out with the teacher to catch summoning beasts, and with friends, is simply great. Teacher, I'll go back and pack my things, Tenten said, turning around and about to run back, but Suzumiya Musashi stopped her in time. Don't worry yet. Go back and talk to your parents. This trip may take a long time. Pack your things too, and bring enough necessities that you can't buy outside. Got it, teacher. Okay, that's it for now. You continue to practice. After Suzumiya Musashi left, Tenten had no time to practice, and her excitement could not be stopped at all. Rock Lee stopped what he was doing and asked, Tenten, are you going out? Yeah, Tenten said, I'm going out to practice with my teacher. Rock Lee said, is that so? Then we can't practice together and do missions. Little Lee, Hyuga Neji said, it's a good thing that Tenten can practice with Senior Musashi. Let's not practice anymore. Let's go have a barbecue while we still have time. The three of them agreed and went straight to the barbecue restaurant. Suzumiya Musashi had the idea of going out to practice a long time ago. After the body grew up, the growth of strength also entered a stable period. Go out to travel and see the scenery of the ninja world instead of staying at home and working behind closed doors. Moreover, Uzumaki Naruto is going out too. In order to teach the child of destiny, Jiraiya finally persuaded Uzumaki Naruto to go out to study with him after promising many powerful ninjutsu. In his words, only by learning from him, who is also one of the three ninjas, can he not be left behind by Uchiha Sasuke. Ikaraku Ramen Restaurant. Suzumiya Musashi personally made a bowl of ramen for Uzumaki Naruto. The steam and aroma came to his nose, and Uzumaki Naruto put his hands together. I'm starting. Suzumiya Musashi watched quietly. After Uzumaki Naruto finished a bowl, he put the ramen that was just cooked into his bowl. Eat slowly, there's more. Suzumiya Musashi didn't put away the bowl until Uzumaki Naruto couldn't eat anymore. Naruto, you must be careful when you go out. Although Jiraiya's strength is good, his personality is too unreliable. Especially when there are women, you must be extremely careful, understand? I understand, boss. Also, remember to find time to practice the flying thunder god I gave you. It doesn't matter if you can't practice it, but you can't tell others. Have you brought all the clothes you are going out with? If you don't have enough, remember to buy some. Don't be afraid of having no money. Be careful when eating. Don't eat overnight food. Be careful with things given by strangers. Also, Uzumaki Naruto folded his hands and stretched them behind his head. He looked at the long-winded Suzumiya Musashi in front of him and nodded from time to time. Until the other party stopped, he said, Don't worry, boss. I will take good care of myself. After all, I am not a child anymore. Yeah, Suzumiya Musashi looked at Naruto's growing figure. He is not a child anymore. When we meet again, he may be as tall as me. Speaking of height, Naruto, you must pay attention to your diet and nutrition when you are outside, and don't eat junk food. Suzumiya Musashi started chattering again, until a hand behind him gently pulled him. Turning around, it was Aquarius. What are you doing? I am. Tell Naruto what he needs to pay attention to outside. Aim signaled with his eyes, and Suzumiya Musashi turned his head. Jiraiya was standing next to the curtain of the ramen shop. I have been waiting for him to finish. Jiraiya-sama, you are here, Suzumiya Musashi greeted. The latter walked in and said, Musashi, don't worry. Although I am not very good at it, I will take care of Naruto. After packing up the things he should bring, Suzumiya Musashi and several of Naruto, Uzumaki's classmates who received the news, came to see him off. Before saying goodbye, Uzumaki Karin said, Naruto, don't be lazy when you are practicing outside. I will check when you come back. Uzumaki Naruto was so confident. Ha, Karin, what are you talking about? When I come back after completing my studies, I can solve you with one hand. Naruto, in Yuzuka Kiba, Akimichi Choji and others waved their hands. Don't stay outside for too long, remember to come back early. Of course, you guys should also work hard. Everyone was saying goodbye to Uzumaki Naruto, and Suzumiya Musashi looked at a small alley behind him. Hinata, Naruto is leaving. why don't you come out and say goodbye?" No one responded. The sound of a heavy object falling was vaguely heard in his ears, and Suzumiya Musashi shook his head and turned around. At this moment, Haruno Sakura suddenly stepped forward. "Naruto," Haruno Sakura, who had specially asked Tsunade for leave, spoke. The girl waved her slender white arms gently, and her short pink hair shone brightly in the morning sun. Her pretty features showed a look of reluctance. Uzumaki Naruto was stunned for a moment. Sakura Janju tilde. He spoke infatuatedly. This was the other party's slightly nostalgic and gentle attitude towards him. The eyes were too beautiful, too intoxicating for him. There was no way, he just liked this type, youthful and cute, full of charm. The sadness of parting made Haruno Sakura sentimental. Uchiha Sasuke left him, and now Uzumaki Naruto also had to go out for training. Loneliness and sadness made her voice affectionate. "Naruto, you must come back early, we are all waiting for you." Uzumaki Naruto's eyes were all worth it. "Sakura Janju, I won't leave," he said in a daze. Haruno Sakura's face suddenly turned black. "No, I'm just being sentimental. Don't take it seriously. If you don't leave, I still have to practice with teacher Tsunade. How can I have time to care about you?" Fortunately, Jiraiya grabbed Uzumaki Naruto's collar, lifted him up and walked out, waving his hand without looking back. "Let's go, everyone." Chapter 188. The sun went down and the sky turned blue. It was night. Uzumaki, Karin, and Shiro were together, packing things to take with them when they went out with great interest. Clothes of different colors and categories, tools that might be used when going out, seasonings that might be used for picnics. A lot of big and small bags were sorted out. In the bedroom, Suzumiya Musashi hugged Ayame, quietly enjoying the tenderness before parting. "Karin is packing things, don't you have to pack?" Ayame leaned in his arms and asked softly. "No," Suzumiya Musashi said, "I'm going out to practice. There's nothing to pack." In fact, he just didn't want to pack in front of Ayame. He felt very uncomfortable when Uzumaki Naruto went out. After he and Karin left, only Pete would be left at home. Ayame might feel even more uncomfortable than him. At this time, he certainly didn't want to pack up in a hurry. He just wanted to accompany him. Ayame felt his emotions and rubbed her body in his arms. "How long will you be out this time?" Suzumiya Musashi, maybe longer than before. After a long period of training, the 8 gates and the polishing of the body have entered a stable period. He has also learned Tsunade's ninjutsu. There is no target for him in Konoha for the time being. In addition to seeing the ninja world, the main purpose of this trip is to find a new opportunity for training to deal with Nagato and Abido in a few years. It may take 1 or 2 years. How long is longer than before? Ayame turned her head and asked. Suzumiya Musashi certainly couldn't tell the truth. If he said he would be out for a few years, Ayame would definitely be upset. He said it's not certain yet. "But sister, I promise you, I will come back to see you in a week at most, and a month at most." With Pete at home to look after the house, he can come back through the reverse psychic technique. Although he can't stay for too long, it is enough to relieve Akorus's longing. "Are you sure you didn't lie to me?" Akorus still had some doubts. After all, she didn't know much about Pete and psychic techniques. "Of course, sister, when have I ever lied to you? I'll keep my word, and I'll come back to see you in no more than a month each time." Akorus believed it then. Musashi. "Yeah. Let's have a child, right?" Suzumiya Musashi was stunned. "Sister, why are you talking about this suddenly?" Akorus said, "We have been married for a while, but we still don't have a child. If we have a child, I won't be bored when you go out." Suzumiya Musashi was a little silent. Since getting married, he has been doing the preparations for having a child, but most of the time, he kicked the ball out of the court at the last minute. Akorus complained about this many times. It's not that he doesn't want a child, but thinking of the upcoming war, he always feels that it's better to have children later. And today Akorus proposed it again. "Why you still don't want it?" Akorus said, a little depressed. "No," Suzumiya Musashi said softly. "Since sister wants it, we'll take it." "Really?" Akorus asked in surprise. Yeah, Suzumiya Musashi nodded. But sister, I can't guarantee this thing, let's go with the flow. Akoris nodded repeatedly. As long as Suzumiya Musashi doesn't change his mind at the last minute, it's fine. Pa tilde a crisp slapping sound. Akoris gave Suzumiya Musashi a charming look. Then she ran to turn off the lights, as if she was familiar with the way. After a long time together, she was no longer as shy as she was at the beginning. Soon the lights went out. There was a rustling in the bedroom. The voice gradually deviated from positive energy. Iris felt like a float on the sea, constantly rising and falling under the heavy waves. After countless waves, she finally saw the light after persevering. The red sun rose, and the clouds were shining. The scorching light made her tremble. She panted until she received everything and calmed down the aftertaste of the adventure. Musashi, Iris said softly. What's wrong? You are so nice, Tilda. Tell me clearly, am I so nice or... Following Suzumiya Musashi's words, Iris blushed and slapped him weakly. Annoying, Tilda. You just said I was so nice, and now it's annoying. It seems that I haven't cleaned up enough. Suzumiya Musashi regained his strength. After a while, Iris exclaimed in a low voice. Stop, Tilda. Why are you here again? Suzumiya Musashi smiled and said, I don't know how many days I will be gone, sister. I plan to catch up with everything at once. Iam's eyes widened. Doesn't that mean I need my M? Ugh, Tilda. Iam couldn't speak anymore, so Suzumiya Musashi said, Sister, you said you wanted a child. How can you do this without trying hard and enduring some hardship? You have to stick to it. Inside the barrier, the noise in the bedroom gradually became outrageous. The next morning, Suzumiya Musashi got up to prepare breakfast for Uzumaki Karin and others. Iam didn't leave the house until breakfast was over. Sister won't see us off, Uzumaki Karin asked in confusion. Sister is a little tired today, we can just leave in a while, Suzumiya Musashi said calmly. Uzumaki Karin certainly wouldn't believe him easily. Letting go of her perception, Kagura's mind's eye was used to its fullest, and soon she saw the mess in the bedroom. With shock and weirdness, she glanced at Suzumiya Musashi. Bang! A head exploded right in the middle of his eyebrows. Suzumiya Musashi said calmly, This technique is not used for this. Uzumaki Karin covered her forehead and dared not refute. She could only curse at the beast in her heart. Hokage's office. Tsunade looked at Suzumiya Musashi with a displeased face. She was very dissatisfied with the latter going out to practice at this time. Of course, she was dissatisfied. After all, she couldn't go back on her word for what she had said before. Okay, don't get in my way, get out of here. Tsunade said, walked to Suzumiya Musashi, and handed a scroll to Suzumiya Musashi. Here are some of my ideas for practicing the yin seal in the past. Although they have not been verified, you can take a look at them. Thank you. Suzumiya Musashi took it and put it away carefully. Rest more when you are tired. There is no end to the work. If you encounter difficulties, you can find Brother Kai and Senior Kakashi. The two of them can solve most problems as a team. Tsunade looked up at him. Are you teaching me how to do things? Suzumiya Musashi didn't care and continued. If those old guys make you unhappy, just bear with it and deal with it. Everything will be discussed when I come back. Okay, Tsunade interrupted him and frowned. You talk as if you can solve it all. Get out. You are so angry. Suzumiya Musashi just smiled. It is understandable that the boss is angry when the sales champion wants to take leave. But the village belongs to everyone, and the strength is your own. It is still most important to improve your strength. Tsunade looked at the young man in front of her, who was a head taller than her. She said that it was annoying, but in fact, she was reluctant to let him go on a long journey. Be careful outside, don't rely on your strength to cause trouble. Run quickly if you encounter an enemy you can't defeat. No matter what time, the village will be your backer. Finally, stay away from women outside. Don't be unable to walk just because you see white, tender, and big. Tsunade's voice stopped abruptly. Feeling the sudden and warm hug, the male breath made her brain crash for a while. Who am I? Where am I? What happened? Chapter 189. The two of them were so busy that they had to wait for the next day. Oh, I'm the Hokage, this is the Hokage's office. After a few breaths, Tsunade finally reacted. How dare Suzumiya Musashi, this guy, be rude to the current Hokage? His fists clenched instantly, and the momentum of the cage-level strongman rose sharply. In an instant, the robes fluttered, the golden twin ponytails flew, and the two big thunders rippled in the chakra's agitation. Die Tilda. Tsunade's voice was full of murderous spirit. However, before she could make a move to destroy the enemy, her eyes blurred, and Suzumiya Musashi had already left the window familiarly. His voice came from the wind. When I come back, I will definitely be better than you, stronger than you. Tsunade gritted her teeth secretly. Suzumiya Musashi disappeared quickly in front of her eyes. After a while, she put down her clenched fist and snorted. When you come back, see if you have the courage. At the gate of Konoha, Might Guy held a tights in his hand and muttered, Musashi, didn't he say he was leaving? Why is he still nowhere to be seen? I have to give him my gift in person. Tenten laughed dryly at the side and said, That, Mr. Kai, how about I help you pass it on? This way he can turn around and throw it away. Might Guy certainly disagreed. He had to hand it to Suzumiya Musashi in person before he felt relieved. Nijiri Oki muttered, Musashi, this guy, went out to play without me, and I have to wait for him for so long. Uzumaki Karin said with a package on her back, Brother, you said you were going to the Hokage's office. Why haven't you come back yet? Did the Hokage detain you? As soon as the voice fell, Suzumiya Musashi's figure appeared in the distance, and then quickly approached. Brother Kai, Senior Kakashi, you are all here. Actually, you don't have to see me off. Hadake Kakashi said listlessly, It was Kai who insisted on coming, and I couldn't persuade him. But Musashi, how did you convince the Hokage to approve your vacation? Suzumiya Musashi immediately said seriously, Work. Because I work very hard, the Hokage saw my work performance and agreed to give me a long vacation. Yoshi, as expected of Musashi, the enthusiasm of youth will not fade even at work. Kakashi, when we go back, let's take double the tasks right. Hadake Kakashi pretended not to hear. After saying goodbye, several people left. Rock Lee shouted to Tenten as he walked, Tenten, come on. We will also work hard to practice. Don't let us leave you behind, Tilda. Tenten didn't want to talk and replied to the confident Rock Lee with a lululu. She didn't think that she would be left behind by Rock Lee. Suzumiya Musashi glanced in the direction of Konoha, and after making sure that there was no one else, he led the three of them out. Not long after walking, they saw two figures, one big and one small, on the side of the road. Uchiha Izumi took Uchiha Ai's hand and said to Suzumiya Musashi, Originally, Ai was angry with you and didn't plan to see you off. Later, I changed my mind. Uchiha Ai walked to Suzumiya Musashi with a depressed face. Brother, next time you go out, you must tell me. Suzumiya Musashi stroked Uchiha Ai's bun and nodded, but you are still in school now. When you grow up, I will take you with me when I go out. Don't lie to me. Don't worry, I never lie. Uchiha Ai was slightly satisfied. Then he took out a delicate kunai and put it in Suzumiya Musashi's hand. This is a reward from the school, for you. Suzumiya Musashi treasured it and kept it. Ai, listen to your sister at home and get along well with your classmates. Wait for me to come back and bring you a gift. Then come back early. Suzumiya Musashi smiled, said nothing, and looked up at Uchiha Izumi. If you encounter anything in the village, go find the Hokage. If it doesn't work, let Pete call me. Got it, let's go. Uchiha Izumi didn't speak until Suzumiya Musashi and others disappeared far away from the site. They left and they disappeared. Uchiha Ai walked back holding her hand. At this moment, she suddenly felt that being young was a disadvantage. If she graduated like Karin, she could go out with Suzumiya Musashi. Unfortunately, Uchiha Izumi and Suzumiya Musashi did not let her graduate early. So angry Tilda. After leaving Konoha, Suzumiya Musashi and the other three headed west. Along the way, Uzumaki Karin was happy. Jumping and hopping, everything they see is new and interesting. Brother, look at this flower, it's so tall. Look at that rabbit, it's not afraid of strangers. Wow, there are pheasants, no, wild birds. Tianchen Bai, come and see. Along the way, Uzumaki Karin chirped. Tianchen was fine, Bai was quieter, just smiling and watching. After walking dozens of miles, Uzumaki Karin's excitement faded a little. Brother, how long will it take us to get out? Can't we ride a horse? I haven't ridden a horse yet. She just mentioned it casually, but she didn't expect Suzumiya Musashi to agree. That's fine. It's probably going to take quite a while for us to go out this time. We can buy a carriage when we come across a town later. Uzumaki Karin said in surprise, Really? Great. Brother, you haven't told us where we are going yet. Is it that we don't have a destination and we just go wherever we want? Suzumiya Musashi said, No. Let's go to the valley country first. Uzumaki Karin, the valley country. Yes. Suzumiya Musashi explained. To be precise, it's the border between the valley country and the wind country. Tenten said, Teacher, what are we going there for? Suzumiya Musashi said, I checked the information carefully when I was in the village. The border between the valley country and the wind country is blocked by a high mountain range. If you want to travel between the east and west countries, you have to cross mountains and ridges. But in the mountains, there is actually a canyon passage. Passage? Tianchen wondered, since there is a passage, why do we have to cross mountains and ridges? Suzumiya Musashi said, because ordinary people can't pass through that passage at all. Rather than a passage, it's better to say it's a canyon gap. The air currents from the east and west converge there, and there are constant strong winds all year round. Even powerful ninjas generally don't pass through there. Tianchen exclaimed, How strong must the wind be to make the ninjas take a detour? Suzumiya Musashi said, The wind is very strong. Ninjas may be able to hold on for a while, but it's hard to complete the journey. People from both countries call it the Absolute Wind Valley. Legend has it that it's the place where the gods who control hurricanes live. Uzumaki Karin asked, Since it's difficult for ninjas to pass through, what are we going there for? Suzumiya Musashi smiled and then said, Go get some fresh air. Uzumaki Karin and Tianchen, Chapter 190. The journey was relatively smooth. The group bought a carriage in the next town and rode to their destination at a leisurely pace. On the way, Uzumaki Karin and Tenten began to practice under the guidance of Suzumiya Musashi. Uzumaki Karin practiced sealing techniques, while Tenten continued to improve her physical fitness and expand the upper limit of her chakra. As for Bai, in addition to occasionally showing her bloodline limit to Suzumiya Musashi, she took on the task of taking care of the three people's daily life and diet. More than 10 days passed in the blink of an eye. On this day, the carriage stopped, and Suzumiya Musashi said to the others, Get off. Uzumaki Karin poked her head out of the carriage. Have we arrived yet? No, Suzumiya Musashi said, but the carriage can no longer go on the road ahead, so we need to walk. What about the carriage? Code the things that can be used and throw away the others. Untie the horse and let it fend for itself. Of course, you can eat horse meat if you want. Uzumaki Karin didn't want to eat horse meat, so she took the horse out of the lasso and patted the horse's head. The latter seemed to be more human and ran back on its own. Then they started walking. The surrounding vegetation first became more and more lush, and then became more and more sparse. Gradually, the mountain breeze blew. At first, it was just an ordinary wind, and then it became stronger and stronger as they walked further. Without using chakra, the others had to lean over to avoid being blown away by the wind. Uzumaki Karin covered her mouth and nose and said, Brother, are you sure this is our destination? Suzumiya Musashi took out the goggles he had prepared in advance and handed them to the others, saying, Go a little further, we should be there soon. The wind was getting stronger and stronger. There was no vegetation around, and the bare rocks were exposed, a desolate scene. The wind was howling, and when the sound of the wind had become shrill in his ears, Suzumiya Musashi finally saw his destination. We're here. Uzumaki Karin and the others looked up. As the flesh on their cheeks was constantly blown by the strong wind, they finally saw the destination Suzumiya Musashi pointed to. A canyon. The towering mountains continued one after another, except for the one in front, which had a huge vertical passage, about 100 meters wide and about 200 to 300 meters high. The rock walls around the passage were extremely smooth, and the surface of the rocks had become round and shiny under the hurricane. As for the shape, well, it felt like the vitality of Mother Earth. Teacher, what are we doing here? If it's really wind, it will probably blow us to death, right? Tianchen asked with a frown. Of course, she knew that the wind was a joke, but she wondered what Suzumiya Musashi's purpose was in coming to this place where no one was going to live. Suzumiya Musashi said, Tianchen, feel it carefully. The wind here. Tianchen said, I feel it, it's very strong. Suzumiya Musashi was speechless. He explained, in addition to being strong, the wind here is very different from the wind outside. Do you feel it? There are weak energy fluctuations in the wind. Tianchen said, Chakra, I can't feel it. Suzumiya Musashi shook his head. Tianchen's chakra attribute perception is very weak, but Karin may be able to sense some. Watching several people struggling to resist the hurricane, he decided to find a place to shelter first. But there was no place to shelter from the wind within his sight. Wait for me, Suzumiya Musashi shouted, and then walked aside. The chakra in his body was mobilized and gathered on his hands. Boom, tilde. A loud noise that could not be covered by the strong wind. As the strange power technique was performed, the rocks under his feet were instantly shattered. Suzumiya Musashi waved his arms continuously, and as the strange power technique was performed continuously, a large pit of several feet in radius soon appeared on the ground. Uzumaki Karin and others watched and understood Suzumiya Musashi's purpose. Earth escape earth flow wall. In an environment full of rocks, the power of earth escape was greatly weakened. After consuming a lot of chakra, Suzumiya Musashi finally used earth escape to build a solid shelter above the big pit. The earth escape shelter was almost flush with the ground, with a smooth arc, which could reduce the pressure of the strong wind to the greatest extent and create a place for several people to stay. In addition to the leeward exit, Suzumiya Musashi specially took out 2 light-transmitting crystals that he had prepared and embedded them in the earth escape shelter to form a small window that could see the direction of the valley clearly. All right, Suzumiya Musashi shouted, and several people hurriedly hid in this earth escape space. Hatilda Uzumaki, Karin rubbed her ears. Finally, it's quieter. Several people cleaned up the dust on their bodies, while Suzumiya Musashi took out some daily necessities and placed them in various places in the space. Seeing his actions, Uzumaki Karin felt something was wrong. Brother, you are not going to stay here for a long time, are you? Tenten and Bai suddenly turned their heads to look at Suzumiya Musashi. The latter smiled lightly and said, You got it right, so smart. Uzumaki Karin wanted to cry immediately. No, why should we be here? Aren't hotels and towns good? It's good, but hotels and towns don't have what I want. What do you want? Suzumiya Musashi looked at the passage in the distance. What I want is progress. Inside the absolute wind valley. In a hidden cave. Report. My king, there is a new group of humans outside the valley. A shout is getting closer and closer. On the throne polished with bluestone, a sickle-tailed weasel with white hair and beard that looked like an otter opened his eyes unhappily. Looking at his impatient fellow tribesmen, he slowly said, Keep your voice down. Kama Duofeng, I'm not deaf yet. Yes, Kama Duofeng, with a tuft of yellow hair on his forehead, responded, and then said, King Kama, a group of people came outside, 3 women and 1 man. Come if you want. King Kama lowered his eyebrows and eyes. In recent years, many people have come here, but most of them ran away in shame. King Kama, what do we need to do? Kama Duofeng asked cautiously. No, let the tribe do what they should do. King Kama didn't care. Over the years, many people have wanted to sign a contract with my sickle-tailed tribe, but most of them don't even have the strength to enter the valley, so don't worry too much. Keep exploring and tell me if you find any unusual movements. Yes, Kama Dufeng responded and ran out in a hurry again. The Sickle King closed his eyes and pretended to sleep again. But it was just another group of whimsical people, so it would not take them seriously. However, it thought that this group of people would soon give up like before, but it did not expect that the development of the matter would be beyond its expectations. Report: King, the group of people did not leave, and they are still living outside the valley. Check again. Report: the man entered the valley, walked 100 meters, and went back. The Sickle King sneered, got it. Report: King, the man entered the valley again, and sat at the entrance of the valley for 2 hours. The Sickle King frowned, check again. Report: King, the man went back to sleep and came again today. Report. Huh? The Sickle King lifted the blanket on his body and said angrily, Sai Dufeng, can you judge the situation yourself before reporting? You come and go, you have disturbed my beautiful dream. Sai Dufeng scratched his head weakly. King, then how should I judge? The Sickle King closed his eyes and covered his forehead. He knew that he could not expect the other party to judge for himself, and the other party's IQ could not complete such a task. Damn it, if the tribe wasn't so few, why would it keep such a club around? Forget it, just report twice a day from now on. Jia Dufeng nodded and then asked, then should I report once every half a day or? It's up to you. With a roar, giant Dufeng fled. Chapter 191. The sky was full of thunder and lightning. 100 meters from the entrance of the absolute wind valley. The strong wind was howling. The strong wind that was enough to cut ordinary people into pieces was like a sharp blade, raging in this space. Suzumiya Musashi sat on the ground, and the lightning armor on his body was faintly emerging to resist the erosion of the strong wind. As time passed, the lightning chakra on the surface of the body gradually became thinner. At the same time, the rich wind attribute chakra began to emerge, flowing on the surface of the body and slowly covered the body under his control. Swish, the wind blade cut through the clothes. Unlike the powerful protective ability of the lightning armor, the wind attribute in Suzumiya Musashi's hands always appears in an attacking form. Although it can be controlled to cover the whole body, it is somewhat incapable of protecting against the strong wind. If you are not careful, the strong wind will break the wind attribute chakra membrane, cut the clothes like a sharp blade, and leave a wound on the skin. Suzumiya Musashi didn't care about it and focused on controlling the chakra. 1 hour, 2 hours. When there was little chakra left in his body, he put on the lightning armor again, left the absolute wind valley, and returned to the Earth Escape residence outside to rest. He saw a sneaky yellow-haired white rat from a distance, but he didn't care. Earth Escape residence. When Suzumiya Musashi approached, Uzumaki Karen hurried forward to check. Why are you injured again? Be careful. It's okay. Suzumiya Musashi took the bowl of hot soup handed over by Tianchen and drank it. It's inevitable to get injured when practicing. Uzumaki Karen looked at the wounds on Suzumiya Musashi's body, her eyes full of heartache. You can practice anywhere. Do you have to practice here? Suzumiya Musashi said calmly, Karen, don't say such things. If you want to become stronger, some hardship is inevitable. The strong wind in the absolute wind valley is very strange, which is very beneficial for studying the changes in the properties of wind attributes. Uzumaki Karen said angrily, It's good, it's good. You have suffered so many injuries. What benefits have you gained? What have you understood? Suzumiya Musashi said, I understand. The wind blade hurts people. Uzumaki Karen looked at the joking Suzumiya Musashi and pouted. Can't we try another way? It's good to practice in the village wearing tights. Suzumiya Musashi shook his head. Of course, physical training cannot be neglected. But if I want to become stronger, I need to master more means. Karen, after my research, one of the basic conditions for the synthesis of bloodline limits is to develop attribute changes to the extreme. Only in this way can bloodstains appear. Zeppu Valley is the first place where I verify my idea. Don't say this little injury. Even if the price is huge, It doesn't matter. As long as there is a glimmer of hope, it's worth a try. He looked at Uzumaki Karin and Tenten, and a hint of tenderness flashed in his eyes. They are also one of the driving forces for him to keep getting stronger. Back then, his goal was just to survive, learn the 8 Gates ninjutsu, and become a strong man. Now, this goal has been basically achieved, and he wants to move towards a more distant goal. A single means can no longer satisfy him, bloodline limits, or stronger attribute ninjutsu is his goal. Recently, through the study of the white blood limit, he has basically confirmed his guess. The rest is the same as before. Try boldly and move forward fearlessly. Treat the wound, slowly heal it with the energy of yang release and healing medicine, and wait until the physical strength is restored. Suzumiya Musashi walks out of the residence again and goes to the absolute wind valley. Uzumaki Karin looks at his back with trembling eyes. In the following days, Suzumiya Musashi kept trying to hide the state of the lightning release armor and control it with powerful wind attribute chakra so that he can stay in the valley. 1 day, 2 days, 8 days. As the small wounds on his body increase, the progress is getting more and more gratifying. Just when he returned to his residence again with joy, Uzumaki Karin came to him with a serious face. "Karin, what's wrong?" Suzumiya Musashi asked curiously. "I want to learn taijutsu," Uzumaki Karin said decisively. Suzumiya Musashi glared. "What did you say?" Uzumaki Karin said word by word, "I want to learn taijutsu." 8 gates of the ninjutsu. Suzumiya Musashi was stunned. He never expected that Uzumaki Karin would suddenly make such a decision. Even base. Tenten looked at Uzumaki Karin in surprise. Apparently, she hadn't told him about this in advance. Karin. Suzumiya Musashi came back to his senses. Physical skills and 8 gates are not suitable for you. You are a girl. What's wrong with girls? Uzumaki Karin interrupted him abruptly. There is no such thing as suitable or unsuitable. I think I am the most suitable. I want to become stronger too. Sealing techniques are good, but not enough. As you said, I need more means. Suzumiya Musashi choked. Although he knew that Uzumaki Karin was a bit tough, he never thought of giving the 8 gates to her. A forbidden technique that requires hard practice, constant tempering, and great risks is still very incompatible with the style of a girl. What are you standing there for? Am I wrong? Uzumaki Karin asked. Suzumiya Musashi began to think. Does what Uzumaki Karin said make sense? It seems to make sense. Girls and life-threatening physical skills are a bit mismatched. But is Uzumaki Karin an ordinary girl? The physique of the Uzumaki clan is almost one of the strongest in the ninja world, and the strong vitality is very advantageous for practicing physical skills. In addition, Karin has an excellent talent for sealing. It is far beyond the level of Suzumiya Musashi. Once she grows up, it is very likely that her sealing skills will exceed his. Practice physical skills with the excellent physique of the Uzumaki clan, and then master the 8 gates. Later, Yin seal and his Kawa flow seal can be passed on to the other party. In this way, the potential is simply limitless. The only concern is whether the other party has the perseverance. In addition to having high requirements for the qualifications of the practitioners, the 8 gates have even higher requirements for the character. Few people can endure the torment of polishing their bodies day after day for decades. Karin, are you serious? The road of 8 gates of ninjutsu may be more difficult than you think. Uzumaki Karin stared at him and said, "Do you think I'm joking?" Suzumiya Musashi said, "Why do you have to learn 8 gates of ninjutsu? The upper limit of the sealing technique is also top level. As long as you learn the sealing technique well, with your qualifications, it will be no problem for you to grow into a ninja like the 3 ninjas in the future." Tenten curled her lips. Tsunede's achievements are a dream for her, but in Suzumiya Musashi's mouth, Uzumaki Karin may be able to achieve it easily. This is the difference in talent. Uzumaki Karin looked into Suzumiya Musashi's eyes and said firmly, I want to become stronger. Ninjas don't need a reason to become stronger. In addition to sealing techniques, I also want to learn other means. I'm interested in your 8 gates of ninjutsu. will you teach me? Chapter 192. The old man was very happy. Suzumiya Musashi. Teach, of course. As long as I know it, you can learn anything you want. Uzumiya Karin was satisfied. Suzumiya Musashi said, but let's make it clear in advance that the training of taijutsu and 8 gates is not as good as sealing technique. If you can't hold on, you can give up, but you are not allowed to cry. Uzumiya Karin raised her head. You are the one crying. I am the strongest female ninja in the future. Ten in a tusk. Okay, then I will teach you taijutsu training starting from tomorrow morning. Suzumiya Musashi said, and stood up again and walked into the absolute wind valley. Looking at his back, Uzumaki Karin's eyes flashed. I want to become stronger, so that I won't be a burden that needs your protection. I don't just want to become stronger either. I want to bear the pain and suffering you endure together. As long as I am with you, that's all. Brothers. Starting from the next day, Uzumaki Karin really started practicing physical skills despite the simple environment. And from the very beginning, she showed a persistence that surprised Suzumiya Musashi. The other party's attitude seemed not to be a temporary impulse, but she really intended to stick to it. Under the sweat and groaning muscles, Uzumaki Karin's eyes were still firm, emitting a different kind of brilliance. This look even infected Suzumiya Musashi. Even the little girl was fighting so hard, how could he admit defeat? He stuffed 2 handfuls of Bingliang pills into his legs, drank the tonic medicine that had been boiled, and took a big step and walked into the absolute wind valley again. Report. My lord, that man is still here today. Swoosh. A stone whistled over. After Kamado dodged dangerously, he heard the annoyed voice of the Lord Kamado. Get out of here. It's the same news every day. Why are you reporting? Is your head for show? Get out, don't bother me unless there is something else. Kamado left dejectedly. He walked while muttering, don't bother the Lord unless there is something else. Don't bother the Lord unless there is something else. Inside the absolute wind valley, Suzumiya Musashi was like an old monk in meditation, still sitting cross-legged in the strong wind, with a faint glow on his body, and fully controlling the 2 attributes of chakra. In places where the wind attribute chakra control is weak, a layer of lightning armor is added to make up for the lack of protection. During this period of time, with his continuous attempts, the level of wind attribute chakra control has been significantly improved. Unlike the fine and solid lightning armor, the wind attribute chakra is much thicker, almost as thick as a finger. It circulates endlessly inside, overlapping layer by layer. Whenever a wind blade passes through the body, the wind attribute chakra will instantly attach to it, and through rapid circulation and tempering, the damage of the wind blade will be eliminated. At the beginning, his wind attribute control could not protect even a wind blade, but now, the protection efficiency has reached about 90%. Except for 1 or 2 powerful wind blades occasionally, most of them are controlled by the wind attribute chakra to absorb and melt. After this state lasted for a while, Suzumiya Musashi thought to himself, it's almost time, can't wait any longer. Although he has the ability to do 2 things at once, controlling the lightning chakra on one hand and the wind chakra on the other, it still can't catch up with the effect of concentration. When the wind attribute chakra's protection efficiency against wind blades has increased to a certain extent, he has already felt a little tired. If this continues, it will only delay more time. After making a decision in his heart, the next moment, the lightning armor on his body suddenly dissipated. After no longer paying attention to the lightning chakra, Suzumiya Musashi put all his energy on controlling the wind chakra. The chakra membrane, which was originally the thickness of a finger, became thicker again. Swish tilde. Swish tilde. The whistling gale rushed towards him, and the power of the wind blades mixed in it was also different. When the lightning armor was removed, the protective film formed by the flow of wind chakra could no longer block all the wind blades. As the sound of cloth being cut from time to time was drowned in the whistling, the frequency of wounds on Suzumiya Musashi's body began to increase. 1, 2, 13, 14. Except for the fatal parts such as the face and throat, Suzumiya Musashi let the wounds appear, and his face did not change. Compared with the extreme training of practicing the 8 gates, this kind of pain is nothing. It's just a minor injury. The important thing is, even if the powerful wind blades could break through the wind chakra protective film, and their power was greatly reduced, so they could not cause much damage to him. The remaining wind blades might be dangerous to others, but with the toughness of his body, they were just some wounds and some blood. 1 hour, 2 hours. 1 day, 2 days. Another month. Except for the time to recover his strength and rest at night, he basically practiced in the absolute wind valley. Only when his strength recovered, he took the time to guide Uzumaki Karin and Tenten's practice. Almost, in the strong wind, Suzumiya Musashi opened his eyes tightly closed under the goggles. This month of practice has greatly improved his ability to control the wind attribute. Nowadays, even without the help of the lightning armor, the flow of wind attribute chakra alone can basically protect all wind blades. Such controllability is difficult for most wind ninjas to achieve. However, improving the ability to control wind ninjutsu is not his goal. What he had done during this period of time was just the preparations he had to do. The next practice was the key. Sensing that there was still a lot of chakra in his body, Suzumiya Musashi relaxed his mind, adjusted his state, and then closed his eyes again. However, this time, his energy was no longer completely focused on controlling the chakra on the surface of his body, but he put 10% of his energy into the perception of the outside world. Whenever the wind blade fell on his body, in addition to maintaining protection, he began to perceive the power and details of the wind blade through his own wind attribute chakra. The wind blade in the strong wind was different from the wind blade used by the ninja. Born naturally, it was attached with free energy between heaven and earth. Although its power could not be compared with that of the powerful ninjutsu, it had a little more naturalness in its characteristics. This was rarely seen in ninjutsu. Wind escape ninjutsu was common, but the wind of the absolute wind valley was not common. His purpose was to perceive the natural wind power, and through research and observation, combined with his own wind escape research results, he perfected the basic principles of wind escape formation and power. This is an important step for him to reach the top level in wind escape. Chapter 193. The old man was bored. I'm so bored. In the residence, Tianchen threw away the Rasengan in his hand and lay on the ground without any image. When can we leave this damn place? I can't even see a ghost every day. Bai said on the side, do you want to eat some snacks? Tianchen said, no, I don't want to eat. Bai, don't you feel bored? A little bit, but I think it's okay. Bai took a perforated senbon and sewed a piece of Suzumiya Musashi's clothes in his hand. The senbon was more flexible than a sewing needle in his hand, and the cut on the clothes by the wind blade was sewn neatly. Before I met Senior Musashi, I had more things to do every day. Chasing people, arresting people, killing people. Although there's nothing to do now, it's not bad. Tianchen said with a bitter face, but I think if we continue like this, we will become savages. At this moment, the 3 of them are no longer dressed as before. There are few people in the absolute wind valley. Every day, they practice except resting. The colorful clothes used to be not durable. Now the 3 of them are all wearing dark training clothes. But it's not a tights. Tianchen said that she would never wear that kind of thing even if she was beaten to death. Karin, take a break. You have been practicing for a whole morning. Tianchen looked at the Uzumaki Karin, who was sweating profusely. The latter did not stop. No. When practicing physical skills, you can't rest just because you're tired. You have to wait until your physical strength is completely exhausted. Tenten said, Karin, if you keep practicing like this, aren't you worried that you'll become a muscle monster one day? Uzumaki Karin said, no. I asked my brother, and the ultimate physical training is not a muscle monster. And my brother's body shape is not exaggerated. That's right, Tenten nodded. The teacher is indeed not a muscle monster. Even Mr. Kai's body shape is not exaggerated, unlike the guys in Kumagakure. In fact, the body shapes of Might Guy and Suzumiya Musashi are not as exaggerated as muscle monsters, but are extremely smooth and beautiful. Especially Suzumiya Musashi's body curves, which are so perfect that Tsunade can even look at them with a sidelong glance. While controlling her movements, Uzumaki Karen said, "Tenten, are you going to complain? Didn't you always say that your brother didn't have time to practice with you? Now you have such a good opportunity, you should cherish it. Hasn't your strength improved rapidly recently?" "That's right," Tilda Tenten replied weakly. She was just bored and looking for someone to talk to. Now that she can practice with Suzumiya Musashi, she eats well, sleeps well, and practices well every day. She can feel that her physical condition is getting stronger and stronger, and the amount of chakra has also increased significantly. Even the control of the Rasengan has improved a lot. Tell me, how did the teacher persist in such boring training? Sometimes when I think about the intensity of the teacher's practice, I doubt whether he is a human being. Will it be? "Tenten, are you saying bad things about me again?" Suzumiya Musashi happened to walk into the room. Tianchen has already gotten used to the sudden appearance of Suzumiya Musashi. She is no longer as flustered as before. She said naturally, "Teacher, I was just praising you. Among the people I know, no one has a stronger will than you." Suzumiya Musashi stretched out his hand. Tianchen shrank her neck in fear, but Suzumiya Musashi just stroked her head. "How do you feel? Have you encountered any difficulties in your training?" "No," Tianchen said, "I feel that my strength has improved rapidly recently, and the amount of chakra has also increased. Teacher, thanks to you." "Really?" Suzumiya Musashi chuckled and said, "Then test it." "Test? How to test?" Tianchen asked. Suzumiya Musashi thought for a moment and said, "Let's use the Rasengan. The ground here is all hard bluestone. Use your Rasengan to attack and see how many holes you can make." Tenten said, "Right here." "Right here? The room is a little small, so we can expand it." Hearing this, Tenten walked to the middle of the room, and after Bai and Uzumaki Karen packed up their things, she stood in the room. As the chakra gathered in her hands under control, a blue Rasengan quickly appeared. Tenten shouted softly and quickly pressed the Rasengan in her hand towards the ground. "Huh? Buzz tilde." The high-speed rotating chakra touched the ground, making a dent sound, and as Tianchen exerted all her strength, and the Rasengan quickly opened up and sunk into the hard bluestone. Stone chips flew. Soon, a standard circular pit appeared on the ground. Suzumiya Musashi nodded. "Good control, keep going." Tianchen continued to move as he said. As the Rasengan was constantly pressed, melted, and regenerated, more and more holes appeared on the surface. "Old teacher, is it still not enough?" For Tianchen, the consumption of the Rasengan was still too great. After performing several Rasengans in succession, she already felt exhausted. "Keep going until the chakra is exhausted," Suzumiya Musashi said without question. Tianchen had to control the little chakra left and perform again. A few minutes later, as the last not-so-standard pit appeared, Tianchen could no longer hold on. The Rasengan dissipated with a bang, and the whole person sat down on the ground full of stone chips without any image. "Teacher, I can't do it anymore, that's it." Suzumiya Musashi looked at the results of Tianchen's hard work and was quite satisfied. 16, 15 if you don't count the last half. "Not bad, better than I expected." Hearing Suzumiya Musashi's praise, Tenten's slightly sweaty face showed a smile. "Don't be too happy too soon." Suzumiya Musashi immediately poured a basin of cold water. "Although it is better than I expected, it is still far from enough. When can you make more than 30 dents in one breath? It will be qualified." "Ah tilde tilde tilde," Tenten cried out in grief. "Teacher, you might as well kill me." 30, when do I have to practice?" I can't do it at all. Please spare me." Looking at Tenten lying flat and playing badly, Suzumiya Musashi showed a sly smile on his face. "There is a reward, Tilda." "Reward? What reward?" Tenten sat up excitedly when she heard there was a reward. Suzumiya Musashi has always been very good to her. If it can be called a reward, it must be a very good thing. But then she said pessimistically, "Rewards are not enough. 30, I can't do it." Suzumiya Musashi said, "Don't be discouraged. As long as you work hard, it is still possible. You still have a lot of room for improvement, but the hardness of the blue stone remains unchanged. First of all, it is the increase in the amount of chakra. As long as you have more chakra, you can persist longer. The reason why I set this goal for you is mainly to allow you to continuously improve your physical fitness and increase the upper limit of chakra. Secondly, if the power of the Rasengan continues to increase, it will be much easier. Watch it," Suzumiya Musashi said, stretching out his right hand, and a standard Rasengan quickly took shape. Then he walked to Tenten's side and pressed the Rasengan towards the ground. Buzz tilde tilde, Chapter 194, 1, 2, 3. Soon, 5 perfect circular depressions appeared on the ground. Suzumiya Musashi said, "Did you see that, Tenten? My Rasengan just now consumes about the same amount of chakra as your Rasengan. My Rasengan can create 5 pits, and yours can only create less than 2 on average. Do you understand?" Tenten nodded, not quite understanding. "I think she understands." "Teacher, are you saying that if my Rasengan continues to improve, the goal of 30 won't be particularly difficult?" "Yes," Suzumiya Musashi said. "I know that improving chakra is not an easy thing, so I won't ask you to double your chakra in a short period of time. You can only create less than 2 Rasengans now. If you can create 3, then you only need to increase your chakra by 30%. If you can create 4, you can directly meet my requirements. So no matter what method you use, as long as you can create 30 pits, you will be qualified." After hearing Suzumiya Musashi's explanation, Tenten finally felt a little confident. Then he said excitedly, "Teacher, then tell me quickly, if I meet the requirements, what rewards will I get? Tell me quickly, tell me, I will have more motivation." Suzumiya Musashi smiled and said, "Don't you always want a powerful summoning beast?" Tenshin's eyes lit up. "Teacher, you mean?" "That's right. As long as you meet my requirements, I will catch a powerful summoning beast for you." Tenshin's eyes lit up. "How strong?" Suzumiya Musashi said, "At least the level of a Jonin." Wow tilde Tianchen felt that his saliva was about to flow down. Summoning beasts are very precious in the ninja world, and powerful summoning beasts are even harder to find. Among the summoning beasts of ordinary ninjas, many are responsible for exploration, intelligence transmission, and other tasks, and only a few are strong in themselves. For summoning beasts that are powerful, the ninjas they contract are often powerful ninjas themselves. If I had a summoned beast that could rival a Jonin. Looking at Tianchen, who was immersed in fantasy, Suzumiya Musashi planned to add fuel to the fire. "Moreover, I can promise you that as long as you complete my request, the faster the time, the stronger the summoned beast will be." Tianchen was even more excited. But soon she realized something was wrong. "Teacher, a summoned beast is such a rare thing, can you choose the strength of it?" Suzumiya Musashi pointed to the entrance of the canyon outside where the wind was howling and asked, "Do you know where this is?" "Isn't it the Absolute Wind Valley?" "It's called the Absolute Wind Valley, yes," Suzumiya Musashi said, "but in addition to that, this is also the nest of the Kametachi clan." Tianchen was puzzled. "Kametachi?" "Yes, Kametachi, the spirit beside the wind god in the legend, is also a famous summoned beast clan in the ninja world. The Kametachi clan is born there is a sense of perception of wind attributes and excellent talent, which can accompany the wind and master the powerful wind. The face value of the psychic beasts is not low. To bet, it seems that the motivation is still very successful. In order not to be partial, Suzumiya Musashi asked, "Karin, do you want a summoned beast?" "No need." Uzumaki Karin didn't even raise her head. "Brother, you told me that in the early stage of physical training, you must have an unstoppable momentum and can't be distracted. You can't let external things affect the improvement of your own strength. Now my goal is physical training and the 8 gates of the ninjutsu. As for the summoned beast, don't worry about me." Looking at Uzumaki Karin, Suzumiya Musashi looked very devoted, with a complicated expression. On the one hand, he felt sorry for the hard training she would have to endure. On the other hand, he was also pleased that she kept her word and persisted. He wanted to set a target reward for her. For example, if she could defeat Zio Lai with the 8 gates of Dunjia and physical skills, he would teach her the subsequent river flow seal. But seeing Uzumaki Karin's current state, he gave up this plan. Uzumaki Karin now has a strong inner support and a passion for training, so he doesn't need him to add more fuel. Karin, you should also pay attention to your body when you practice. Know your body, control your body, and break through your body. This is a comprehensive ability, and you must be careful not to overdo it. Brother, don't worry. Uzumaki Karin tried to keep her breathing steady and said, I'm not that idiot like Lee, who would do stupid things that would damage my body and seriously injure me during training. My goal is to become stronger. I know how to go. If I encounter difficulties, don't I still have you? Suzumiya Musashi nodded with relief. If Uzumaki Karin was not a girl, she would be the perfect successor to 8 gates of Dunjia in his heart. In fact, even if she was a girl, she would be the perfect successor. Think about it, if she traveled outside for a few years, Uzumaki Karin's physical skills would be developed, plus the 8 gates of Dunjia, plus his sealing technique. Rock Lee. Maybe the next time they meet, Karin will really have the possibility of defeating the other party. After a while, Shiro's rice was ready. In addition to simple meals, there is also a pot of nourishing porridge, which contains many precious ingredients that can improve physical fitness and restore physical strength. All of this was naturally prepared by Suzumiya Musashi. You can't treat your body badly in food when practicing. As long as it is good for the body, Suzumiya Musashi has always purchased as many precious ingredients as possible. Pray before the meal and thank Cardo. Don't practice anymore. Tenten, Karin, come and eat. The 2 people who were practicing enthusiastically stopped their actions, washed their hands, and ate. Since they followed Suzumiya Musashi to practice, Suzumiya Musashi has set rules for them. Except for special circumstances, the quality of diet and sleep is the first priority of practice. Eat well, don't be impatient, don't procrastinate. Sleep well, no matter what, put it aside. Health is important. Chapter 195. The sky is full of wind, and the sky is full of clouds. Between heaven and earth, there is only the whistling wind. In the narrow and long absolute wind valley, the whistling sound of the wind is endless. A figure sits in the wind, motionless like a reef, letting the wind blow and the skylight change. The sun rises and the moon sets. Suzumiya Musashi's hair and beard are getting longer and longer, and there are more and more patches on his clothes. There will always be an extremely strong wind blade that suddenly falls on him. If he can't protect himself, it is inevitable that his clothes will be torn. In the end, he simply bares his upper body, abandons his clothes, and only relies on wind escape chakra to resist the wind. As the days get longer, the light in Suzumiya Musashi's eyes becomes brighter and brighter. After sitting for a long time, he finally felt vaguely that there was a power different from that of humans in the strong wind. A more natural flow of energy, a more lasting law of operation. The deeper the perception, the more one can discover the wonders of natural power. Just as he was immersed in the excitement of exploring the law, a huge wind blade was mixed in the strong wind. In the whistling strong wind, the abnormality of the wind blade was difficult to detect. When Suzumiya Musashi found the danger, it was too late to retreat. Swish! The wind blade broke through the hastily gathered lightning chakra, and a bloody hole appeared on Suzumiya Musashi's arms in front of him. Blood flowed. Suzumiya Musashi's eyes were wide open. The eyes behind the goggles were staring at the direction inside the absolute wind valley. Is it a sneak attack or a wind blade that escaped from the valley? He guessed in his heart. Whatever the reason is, put it aside for now. Practice is important. The perception of the natural wind is at a critical juncture. At this time, he did not want to leave the rare state of understanding to pursue the source of the wind blade. Stop the bleeding and bandage the wound. Suppress the impetuousness in his heart caused by the injury. After a while, Suzumiya Musashi was immersed in the perception of power again. The following practice was stable, and there was no sudden attack of powerful wind blades. Until the physical strength was exhausted. Back to the residence, there was no time to treat the wound, and directly took out paper and pen to record the understanding and feelings of the wind power. The state is just right. A steady stream of inspiration emerges from his mind, and the notes in his hand are getting thicker and thicker. Uzumaki Karin wanted to call him to eat, but seeing his state, she turned around and booed to Tianchen and others. Research on wind-style microlevel. Detailed explanation of the operation mode of natural wind power and ninja wind-style power. Hypothesis of the energy operation model of wind-style continuous. Relationship between wind-style microlevel movement and the effect of segmentation ability. After an unknown amount of time, when Suzumiya Musashi put down the pen in his hand, a strong feeling of hunger suddenly emerged. Just as he was about to get up, a bowl of steaming ramen appeared in front of him. Without asking any more questions, he picked it up and ate it. Huluhulu tilde. Eat slowly tilde Uzumaki Karin said on the side. If you don't know, you might think there's a pig hidden here. Suzumiya Musashi didn't care about that, and after eating 2 more bowls, he wiped his mouth and walked out. Just finished eating, take a break before going. Uzumaki Karin shouted behind him. I'm not going into the valley. Suzumiya Musashi waved his hand. I have an idea to try. Walked outside the residence. Although there was also a strong wind, it was gentle and quiet compared to the strong wind in the absolute wind valley. Coming to an open space far away from his residence, Suzumiya Musashi stood still, recalling what he had just memorized. He stretched out his right hand. As the chakra slowly gathered, a blue chakra ball kept spinning. After countless times of practice, the condensation of the Rasengan was as simple as eating and drinking. Then, under his control, the Rasengan in his hand slowly changed. The upper and lower sides slowly approached, like a sphere that was constantly being flattened. After a while, it had changed from a round sphere to a disc that was less than a finger thick. Suzumiya Musashi felt the difficulty of control and thought to himself, "It doesn't seem to be difficult." The flattened Rasengan slowly regained its roundness. The next second, the color of the Rasengan began to change. With the injection of wind attributes, the originally blue Rasengan gradually gained a bright white. As the white color increased, a buzzing sound appeared, which was still clear even in the strong wind. The basic form of wind style, Rasen Shuriken. The changes continued. When wind style Rasen Shuriken appeared, just like the Rasengan just now, the overall shape continued to compress. After a while, it became an oval, which is also an improved version of the wind escape spiral shuriken that Suzumiya Musashi had mastered before. At this time, Suzumiya Musashi's eyes were more focused. Compression, compression. The elliptical spiral shuriken was still changing towards the flat direction. The wind attribute chakra slowly changed and adjusted at the microscopic level. The tiny wind blades were connected and entangled with each other, and the energy transfer between them was more rounded and natural. A little sweat overflowed from Suzumiya Musashi's cheeks and then evaporated quickly in the airflow. He stared at the Rasengan in his hand without blinking. Not enough, not enough. In his imagination, the advanced spiral shuriken should not be a simple compression, but a reconstruction of the connection method from the microscopic level. Putting aside the original spherical attack surface with no dead angles, all the energy rushed into a plane. It doesn't matter what the extreme change of form is. What he wants is to transform all the energy into a cutting force in a plane. It still doesn't work. To achieve the desired effect, the original operation mode of the Rasen Shuriken may need to be fundamentally changed. Suzumiya Musashi's eyes flickered. If the original construction mode of the Rasen Shuriken is completely changed, it means that the ninjutsu he has been practicing for a long time must be completely abandoned. New ninjutsu attempts are accompanied by huge risks. If the energy inside the Rasen Shuriken is out of control, even he dare not try it easily. The improved version of the Rasen Shuriken in his hand is still trying to compress. However, the change in form is already minimal. and the faint pressure in his hand tells him that if he continues like this, there will be no result. The only way is to start over. After just a few breaths, Suzumiya Musashi's eyes became firm again. F***K. Nobel dares to study explosives, so why can't I study Rasengan? What's there to be afraid of? He controlled his palm and faced forward carefully. The direction of the guarded Rasen Shuriken changed from a horizontal disc to a vertical one. In this way, even if the ninjutsu goes out of control, the impact on oneself can be reduced as much as possible. Calm down the chaotic thoughts in your mind. Suzumiya Musashi looked at the chakra in his hand that was still trembling, and a determination flashed in his eyes. Buzz tilde. The sound was loud. Spiral shuriken? Maybe it can no longer be called a spiral shuriken. The chakra ball in Suzumiya Musashi's hand trembled violently. The original full-scale control of chakra was all placed on a plane. In the subtle places that are difficult to see with the naked eye, wind blades are constantly generated, and then linked and transmitted. 1, 2, 3, until they are connected. Suddenly, a chain reaction was caused inside the chakra ball in his hand, and a bright light spot was suddenly generated from the center. Chapter 196. The light was just a dot at first, and in the blink of an eye, the light became louder and louder, attracting more and more wind attribute chakra. A blazing white circular plane quickly appeared in the center of the chakra ball in his hand, which was originally the size of a basketball. Then it expanded rapidly. In a moment, it had exceeded the original range of the technique. Buzz tilde. The roar became even sharper. In the piercing sound, the chakra ball in his hand, except for the white plane part, was shattered. It was connected, attracted, and absorbed by the wind blade chain in the white plane, and finally turned into a part of itself. The blazing white circle suddenly expanded. From the diameter of a basketball, it became half a meter, 1 meter. Buzz, 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 tilde. Stone chips flew. The wind blade disc quickly expanded, and soon became taller than Suzumiya Musashi. The disc was perpendicular to his outstretched right hand, and as it expanded, the edge cut into the rocks on the ground. The hard bluestone was quickly broken by the wind blade disc, and a deep and narrow gap was cut out in the flying stone chips. The wind blade disc encountered obstacles and trembled a little. Suzumiya Musashi was alert and let the flying stone chips under his feet break his trouser legs, trying his best to stabilize the chakra in his hand. Control, control. I can't control it anymore. The constantly expanding wind blade disc consumed a lot of Suzumiya Musashi's chakra. A strong vibration came from his hand. Suzumiya Musashi knew instantly that the chakra had been out of his control. Without the slightest hesitation, with a bang under his feet, the whole person quickly retreated in the flying stone chips. Halfway through, the lightning release activation mode was instantly turned on, and the feet kept tapping, and the stone surface exploded. The body was so fast that the afterimage could not be seen clearly, and it retreated quickly. Boom, tilde. After losing the control of Suzumiya Musashi, the wind blade disc expanded again. The size of the body increased from more than one person's height in an instant. 2 meters, 3 meters, soon became a diameter of nearly 20 meters. The side was still a thin piece, but from the front, the rotating wind blade disc was like a blazing white round sun, constantly cutting in front of the eyes. The earth trembled. Suzumiya Musashi originally thought that after the explosion, without his control and chakra output, the wind blade disc would soon dissipate. However, it was beyond its expectations. Even without his chakra supply, the wind blade disc still showed good durability. Even if the body continued to expand, it still maintained the thickness of a plane, and the chakra dissipation was very subtle. It didn't dissipate until it grew to 20 meters in size, and then slowly dissipated under the constant wear of the rocks. The whole process from the time he left lasted about 10 breaths. After the vibration subsided, Suzumiya Musashi rushed forward to check. Looking at a thin and long cutting mark on the ground, the inside was pitch black and seemed to be bottomless, and joy flashed in his eyes. The experiment was very effective. Although it was not completely successful, this attempt allowed him to see the feasibility of the microscopic structure change of the new ninjutsu. The cutting effect of the wind blade disc can still be maintained for 10 breaths after losing control, which means that the self-maintenance effect of the new ninjutsu is very good, and the energy dissipation is also very small. 10 breaths may not sound long, but it depends on the specific situation. The original spiral shuriken can also maintain a long time after losing control, but that maintenance is obviously not as concentrated as the effect caused by the wind blade disc just now. Until it dissipated, it can still maintain the original attack direction and strong attack power. Suzumiya Musashi looked at the traces left on the bluestone on the ground and kept reviewing the effects of the spell in his mind. A few minutes later, he stretched out his right hand again, and the remaining chakra in his body was activated. Immediately, the chakra gathered in his hand, and the wind attribute was maximized. Once it appeared, it was a thin disc. Buzz, buzz, buzz. The sharp sound appeared again. Suzumiya Musashi controlled the output of chakra, trying to suppress the size of the wind blade disc, not wanting it to get out of control. 1 second, 2 seconds, 3 seconds. Half a minute later, even if he gathered his own chakra, the wind blade disc in his hand still trembled again. Swelling, cutting, dissipating. There was another bottomless gap on the ground. No. The structure of the action of the technique is basically completed, but it is still uncontrollable. The energy dissipation is very low, but the inertia of the technique itself absorbing energy is too large. It still needs. Continue to improve. Suzumiya Musashi muttered to himself. He stood there, thinking carefully about how to prevent the ninjutsu from getting out of control. How can the wind blade disc maintain its own size without absorbing too much and collapsing? He was silent. After a while, he stretched out his right hand again and tried the idea in his mind. Buzz! That day, Suzumiya Musashi stood outside the Absolute Wind Valley, constantly trying to perform new ninjutsu until it was dark, and then he finished with a sense of unfulfilled desire. It was not that he did not want to continue, but his chakra had been exhausted. At night, Suzumiya Musashi put on his special weight and began to practice physical skills again. The thoughts and distractions that kept rising from his ninjutsu research made him unable to sleep at all. It seemed that as long as he took another step forward, the success of the new technique would be just around the corner. He knew that this was just his illusion. It was not enough. His accumulation and research on wind escape were not enough. As if to vent, Suzumiya Musashi forgot himself. With the rise of blood and chi, the stretching of muscles, the chaotic thoughts caused by the study of ninjutsu finally calmed down gradually. A peaceful night. The next morning, Suzumiya Musashi stepped into the Absolute Wind Valley again. This time, he did not stay at the entrance of the valley. Instead, he headed deeper into the canyon. He needed to feel a stronger wind. Stronger natural forces and more dangerous situations would make him concentrate his mind and realize more mysteries in the wind. He believed that with a more thorough understanding of the power of wind, the research on new techniques would eventually come to fruition. Oh my God! It's moving, that man is moving. In the Absolute Wind Valley, Kamado Feng, hiding behind the rocks, was taking a nap. The strong wind in the valley was as familiar to Itachi as the sun, and he didn't care. The strong wind that gave the ninja a headache was no different from ordinary wind when it blew on its body. The wind blade would not cause any damage when it touched the shiny hair. But at this moment, Kamado Feng, who had been bored, suddenly became nervous. The human male, who had been wandering at the entrance of the Absolute Wind Valley from the beginning, unexpectedly broke his normal behavior today and began to move into the valley. Kamado Feng frowned, thinking that things were not simple. Chapter 197. The more he went, the more he was able to move forward. Suzumiya Musashi walked firmly. From 100 meters away from the valley entrance, he walked into the valley step by step. At 200 meters, the strong wind became more violent, and the wind escape chakra on the surface of the body could still withstand it. Further in, 300 meters, 400 meters, all the way to 500 meters. The canyon became narrower and narrower, and the whistling strong winds were like sickles scraping at his body. If it weren't for the chakra attached to his feet to stabilize his body, the force of the strong wind alone would be enough to blow him up to the sky. Let's stay here. Going further in, the wind escape can't withstand it. After finding a flat stone surface, Suzumiya Musashi sat down slowly, and the chakra attached to the stone surface, sticking his body firmly. Strong winds blew in his face, and the shrieking sound was like the howling of ghosts and wolves. People with weak minds would be afraid if they stayed here for a long time. But he seemed unaware, and all his faith was placed on the perception of power. Except for eating and sleeping, he sat there for 10 days in the whistling sound that was enough to make people palpitate. After 10 days, he stood up, looked at the increasingly narrow valley entrance, and pushed forward again. What should I do? What should I do? Why are you going in again? If you go any further, you will almost reach home. On the stone wall, Kamado, who was monitoring Suzumiya Musashi, was panicking. He kept struggling in his heart, wondering whether he should go back and tell the king of Kama. The king said that he should have his own judgment. Don't disturb him if there is nothing else. This person is just sitting here. He should be fine, right? Why is he sitting here for nothing? Is he mentally ill? The king always says that my brain is not working well. I think this person is the one with the brain not working well. Forget it, let's do this for now. It shouldn't be a big deal if he is just sitting. When there is any other action, I will report it to the king. After making the decision, Kamado Feng finally breathed a sigh of relief. He leaned against the stone wall and continued to watch. 10 days later, Suzumiya Musashi stood up and moved forward 100 meters. 10 days later, when Suzumiya Musashi moved forward to 900 meters, the scene in front of him changed again. The steep stone wall became narrower and narrower. In front of his sight, it was less than 20 meters wide. Against the backdrop of the 200-300 meter high canyon, the passage in front of him was like a vertical white line. The skylight shone through it, and it was unclear how far it was inside. The blue stone wall has become as smooth as a mirror after years of wear and tear by the strong wind, and it faintly exudes a metallic luster. Boom, boom, boom. The wind roars like thunder. What is coming towards him can hardly be considered wind, but powerful wind blades of varying sizes, pouring down between heaven and earth. Suzumiya Musashi can no longer sit cross-legged. Only by standing up can he deal with the wind blades that keep coming. Among the wind blades, the small ones are imperceptible, and the big ones are like pot lids. If they hit him directly, he will not escape the fate of blood and flesh flying everywhere. So he can only open his eyes carefully and let go of his perception. The wind blades keep coming, and the small ones are consumed by the wind chakra on the surface of the body. The large ones are dodged by flashing. When encountering a wind blade of moderate power, the wind chakra will be extended several meters in front of the body to block it in advance before the wind blade is about to collide with the body. Then polish, dissolve, and break. He must be extremely careful in this process. If there is any mistake, his practice will have to be suspended. Boom, 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 boom. In this constant consumption and perception, Suzumiya Musashi's perception of the wind blades became clearer and clearer. The wind power generated by the heaven and earth, like a reserved girl, slowly unveiled in front of him. In this process, not only did he gain a deeper understanding of the wind power, but his control over the wind escape chakra was also improving at an astonishing speed. I can't remember how many days have passed. At a certain moment, Suzumiya Musashi suddenly found that the canyon gale that made him feel like he was facing a great enemy at the beginning, he could now deal with it calmly. Although his body could not resist the powerful wind blades, after a long period of dodging and consumption, his body's perception of the wind power was almost instinctive. With the memory of his body, he could calmly dodge and deal with the wind blades of different sizes, and then select the appropriate wind blades to capture and dissolve them with his own chakra. The sharp blades here could no longer hurt him. After realizing this, he temporarily stopped his perception of the wind blades. As his body flexibly dodged the powerful blades, he stretched out his right hand, pure to the extreme. Wind attribute chakra quickly condensed. Soon, a blazing white disc appeared in the palm again. Connection, transmission, friction. He silently recited the microscopic characteristics of wind power in his mind, and the blazing white in his hand became more dazzling. The chakra rotated rapidly, and the whistling sound was sharper than the strong wind in the canyon. And it was getting sharper and sharper. When the sound on the white chakra disc became sharp to a certain degree, the ears felt a slight pain, and then suddenly disappeared. Behind the goggles, Suzumiya Musashi narrowed his eyes. He knew that it was not that the sound disappeared, but that when the frequency of chakra vibration reached a certain level, it could no longer be perceived by the ears alone. At this moment, the sharpness of the chakra disc in his hand also reached a level that made him faintly frightened. If it hits a person, no flesh and blood body should be able to withstand it. Suzumiya Musashi sighed secretly. I am afraid that even if the third generation Reikage is resurrected, he cannot withstand the sharpness. He was very satisfied with the power of the new technique that had not yet taken shape. The only problem that bothered him now was that he could not control it. He had tried it at 300 meters, 400 meters, and 500 meters inside the absolute wind valley. The strong wind environment did not affect the condensation and power of the sharp blade disc, but every time after a few breaths, the wind escape chakra in his hand could not be suppressed and lost control. This time was no exception. After a few breaths, the pressure from his hand became stronger and stronger. Even if Suzumiya Musashi gritted his teeth, he could not change it. Finally, he could no longer bear it. With a flick of his right hand, the blazing white disc flew out of his hand and rushed straight into the skylight of the canyon. After it flew out of his hand, the blazing white disc grew rapidly as it moved forward. The strong wind in the canyon was even dragged into it and became a part of itself. Then it flew forward without any reduction in power. After it became 20 meters in diameter, the edge collided with the smooth stone wall. Boom, boom, boom. The sound was clear and audible. It was as if the sound of the electric drill and angle grinder used by the neighbors who were renovating the house was suddenly mixed in with the continuous thunder. The smooth stone wall, which was harder than steel, fell and cracked and splashed under the cutting of the disc. Suzumiya Musashi was both happy and worried. What a joyful power! It's a pity that he couldn't control it. Should I go further in? He hesitated. He had a feeling in his heart. The perception of the power of wind and the power of the new technique seemed to have reached the limit. He couldn't find the reason why he couldn't control it. No choice but to walk further in and give it a try. If there is a stronger wind, maybe there will be new insights. Chapter 198. After deciding on his idea, Suzumiya Musashi no longer hesitated and moved forward again against the strong wind. However, as he went deeper into the position, the strong wind did not become stronger. And as he continued to move forward, the width of the canyon, which was less than 20 meters, became less than 200 meters. Going forward, the view suddenly opened up. The thunderous strong wind in his ears also weakened. Is it the end? A question flashed through his mind, and Suzumiya Musashi suddenly fixed his eyes. In front of him, the canyon opened up. From a width of less than 20 meters, it slowly became nearly 100 meters. Looking forward, it was like entering a new space through a door. The stone walls around were still bare and smooth, but on the smooth stone walls, there were holes less than half a meter in diameter, and at a glance, there were nearly 100 of them. Among these nearly 100 holes, about 1/10 had a white head emerging from them. Everyone looked at the outsider at the entrance with a sharp look. This is a Kame-tachi, Suzumiya Musashi thought secretly. Before he could speak, a voice echoed in the canyon. Human, what are you doing here? Tilde tilde tilde. Leave quickly, tilde tilde tilde. The voice echoed in the canyon and was then blown away by the wind. Suzumiya Musashi stretched out his hand to say hello. Hi, you. Leave, 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 tilde tilde. Dozens of voices merged together, overlapping with the echoes. Suzumiya Musashi was about to explain her purpose. Well, I want to borrow it for a moment. However, before she could finish, a figure suddenly flew out of the cave. The white hair shone brightly in the sun, and the slender body, less than half a meter long, kept flashing in the wind. Whenever a wind blade passed by, it could even use the wind blade to gain momentum. Like an elf dancing in the wind. Wait, Suzumiya Musashi hurriedly spoke. In response to him, there was a waving sword light in the distance. Swoosh! The giant wind blade, nearly 2 meters long, was swung out on the sword light in the hand of the sickle weasel, and rushed straight towards Suzumiya Musashi. Bang! Tilde the wind blade shattered on the stone surface. Suzumiya Musashi, who barely dodged it, wanted to explain, but the sickle weasel in the air opposite had already attacked again. Damn! Swearing secretly, Suzumiya Musashi could only dodge again. After all, this is the home of the sickle weasel, and he doesn't want to have a conflict. But just because he didn't want to, didn't mean the sickle weasels would do so. When he dodged the wind escape attack twice in a row, the sickle weasel that attacked whistled, and 3 more sickle weasels flew out of the cave, stepping on the whistling wind blades and attacking him. I say you guys enough. If you do this again, I'll fight back. Suzumiya Musashi didn't dare to be careless. While activating the lightning escape and covering himself with lightning escape armor, he shouted to remind him. He came to practice, not to fight. It's easy to deal with the few sickle weasels in front of him, but I'm afraid that if I beat the young ones, the old ones will come, and if I beat a group, the whole group will come. However, he was dodging the attack with his hands and feet tied, and several sickle weasels tried their best to greet him. Even he didn't dare to bear the huge wind blade head-on, and could only dodge it with the super fast speed after the lightning escape was activated. I really fought back, Suzumiya Musashi threatened. The sickle weasels seemed to have heard nothing, and only focused on speeding up the attack. Suzumiya Musashi was also a little angry. He saw the opportunity and formed seals with his hands towards a sickle weasel that was planning to sneak attack. Lightning release, lightning net. Sizzle tilde. Seeing him perform ninjutsu, the leading sickle weasel flashed his eyes and tried to slip away. He was very fast, but Suzumiya Musashi's lightning release chakra was faster. After the hand seals were formed, a large piece of lightning suddenly spread out, like a big net covering the sickle weasels in front of him. The sickle weasels held sickles of different lengths in their hands, all of which were forbidden techniques. They were unable to dodge the sudden attack of lightning release. Ah, tilde. Accompanied by a few quick screams, the bodies of several sickle weasels nearby suddenly stopped, and then fell straight down. This is the result of reckless action, Suzumiya Musashi said viciously. He had not used the full power of the lightning escape just now, so the lives of the sickle weasels would not be in danger. Even if they were unconscious for a while, the strong wind in the valley would not hurt them. However, it would have been better if he had not taken action. As soon as he took action, several weaker sickle weasels were paralyzed by the electric shock and fell down, and the other sickle weasels immediately became noisy. Accompanied by sharp shouts, the sickle weasels jumped out of the cave one by one like dumplings, taking advantage of With the wind in the canyon, they drifted into a piece. Ooh oh oh, tilde kill this human. In the blink of an eye, nearly 30 sickle weasels gathered. Each of them stared at Suzumiya Musashi fiercely. Being stared at by so many eyes, even Suzumiya Musashi felt a little numb on his back. Hey, I warn you guys, don't mess around. I won't be polite if you come again. Swoosh, swoosh, swoosh. Tilde what responded to him was a piece of knife-light wind blade. Such power is far beyond the natural gale. The huge wind blades gathered together, and even the shadow-level strongmen could only avoid it temporarily. Suzumiya Musashi began to dodge. The lightning release was activated with all his strength, and the whole person turned into a lightning light, flashing continuously in the canyon space. The speed of the sickle weasel could not catch up with him for a while. However, after a long time, there will always be negligence. This is the absolute wind valley, where the power of wind is everywhere. The sickle weasels thrive in such an environment. Even though their speed can't keep up with Suzumiya Musashi, their attacks are not slow. The extremely familiar environment allows them to find the most appropriate time to attack. Finally, when Suzumiya Musashi dodged several wind blades and sickles again, several inconspicuous wind blades overlapped and suddenly hit his back. Boom, tilde. A loud noise. Suzumiya Musashi was hit hard and suddenly hit the stone wall in the distance. There was a faint pain on his back. As soon as he felt it, Suzumiya Musashi knew that he was injured. Several sickle weasels with strength comparable to that of a Jonin launched a sneak attack and shattered his lightning armor. Even if he was not seriously injured, it was enough to make Suzumiya Musashi angry. The lightning chakra surged and wrapped his body again. Suzumiya Musashi stood up and looked at the dozens of sickle weasels in front of him. His face darkened. His eyes also became a little fierce. The sickle weasels were looked at with such eyes and suddenly felt a little cold on their backs. The more sensitive ones had their white hair on their backs exploded. They looked at each other and soon reached an agreement. Damn him! Are you trying to scare Sei? Hit him, a larger sickle weasel in the group of sickle weasels shouted in unison, and then a large piece of wind blade attacked Suzumiya Musashi again. You asked for it, Suzumiya Musashi said in a cold tone. He stood up and jumped over a large wind blade. He was in midair, and his toes covered with lightning chakra touched the side of another wind blade, and his figure soared again. He raised his right hand, and the extreme wind attribute chakra condensed in a whistling sound. A blazing white ring emerged. Looking at the group of sickle weasels in front of him that were still eager to attack him, he suddenly swung his right hand forward. Come and have a taste. Chapter 199. The wind blade was blown away, and the wind blade was blown away. Instead of suppressing the expansion speed of the wind blade disc as usual, Suzumiya Musashi even accelerated the output of chakra. After feeling the gradually increasing pressure in his hand, he swung his hand out. The disc began to expand rapidly. Under the gaze of the sickle weasels with their eyes wide open, it grew larger and larger, and soon expanded to a height of nearly 20 meters. The high-frequency vibration made them cover their ears with painful expressions. Get out of the way. Some older sickle weasels realized that something was wrong and shouted to remind them, and the sickle weasels immediately scattered and dodged. Buzz, 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 tilde. Wherever the blazing white disc passed, the strong wind exploded and the stone wall was worn away. A sickle-tailed weasel tried to attack it, but the more than 2-meter-long wind blade just touched the huge disc and collapsed without suspense, turning into a small wind blade, which was wrapped by the disc and became a part of itself. Can't stop it, retreat. The sickle-tailed weasel who tried out the result no longer hesitated and led several sickle-tailed weasels around him to dodge. The giant disc was moving fast, but its huge size made the trajectory of the attack clearly visible, and most of the sickle-tailed weasels avoided it before the attack arrived. The giant disc roared past. At the end of the route, 2 slightly smaller sickle-tailed weasels were hiding there. They thought that they hid at the edge and the attack of the giant disc could not last to them. Unexpectedly, after flying a considerable distance and leaving a large cutting mark on the rock wall, the disc still kept the terrifying momentum and flew towards them. Perhaps frightened by the exaggerated attack method in front of them, the 2 sickle-tailed weasels widened their eyes and could not move for a while. Stop! A panic shout came from a distance. Along with the shout, a whistling sound approached rapidly. Suzumiya Musashi looked up and saw a sickle weasel with a tuft of yellow hair on its head, dragging 2 sickles and flying hurriedly. Halfway through, the 2 sickles in his hands danced like the wind, and huge wind blades 3 meters long shot out like bullets from a machine gun. At a speed faster than the giant disc, it quickly intercepted the disc's path. Boom, 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 tilde. 7 or 8 large wind blades blasted out in a row, and the yellow-haired sickle weasel's face visibly withered. Suzumiya Musashi's expression changed slightly. The huge wind blade disc actually changed its direction in a series of interception attacks. Not only that, the opponent's wind escape was extremely special. Not only did it not collapse in the collision, but it bounced back. The momentum of the wind blade disc also weakened in such a collision. Buzz, 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 tilde. The offensive was deflected. The fatal attack that was originally intended to split the two sickle weasels in two slammed into the stone wall half a meter above their heads. With a harsh sound, the flying stone chips hit the heads of the two little sickle weasels. The two sickle weasels did not react at all. One of them was stiff, feeling the vibration sound from the top of its head, unable to move at all. Too terrible. With this level of attack, as long as the chakra bursts out, it can basically see too much milk. Fortunately, the expected chakra burst did not happen. The wind attribute power inside the disc is condensed and stable, and continues to maintain a huge but slender body until the energy is completely dissipated in friction and cutting. Guru Tilda the sickle weasel swallowed its saliva in fear. Feeling that its body can finally move, it trembled and stretched out its head and looked back at the stone wall. The stone wall, which had always been extremely hard, now had a narrow gap. The gap was extremely narrow, and the inside was dark, as if you couldn't see the bottom. Its feet softened, and it suddenly fell to the ground. It reached out to pull its partner beside it, but the other party didn't respond. It turned its head and found that the other party had fainted from fear at some point, and now closed his eyes and looked peaceful. The sickle weasels were silent. Only one sickle weasel with yellow hair on its head was left, panting and riding the wind. Stop, stop. Don't fight. The king will be here soon. Suzumiya Musashi looked up and down at the yellow-haired sickle weasel. Who are you? If I remember correctly, the sneaky shadow he saw outside the canyon before was the guy in front of him. I am Kamado. Kamado panted for a while and finally felt some strength. Kamado tilde Suzumiya Musashi remembered this name. I just walked here, and it was your people who attacked first. I know, Kamado Feng responded. Human, wait a moment, wait until our sickle king comes. Suzumiya Musashi didn't wait long. Just after Kamado Feng finished speaking, a sickle weasel flew over from afar. This sickle weasel was slightly thin, and the hair and beard on the top of his head had grown a lot, looking not much different from a little old man. Suzumiya Musashi's eyes became solemn. Although also moving in the wind, the other party was different from other sickle weasels. Other sickle weasels relied on their agile bodies to leap in the wind, relying on their hair and body shape to move with the help of wind. But the old sickle weasel in front of him seemed to be floating in the air. Although there was no obvious movement, the strong wind in the valley became gentle and docile around the other party, carrying the other party closer and closer in the air. Suzumiya Musashi had never seen such control of wind attributes. Ahem tilde. The old sickle weasel floated in front of Suzumiya Musashi and slowly fell down. He held a cane in his hand, coughed twice, and then looked Suzumiya Musashi up and down. Human, your aura doesn't seem to be from the Sand Village. Which ninja village are you from? Konoha, Suzumiya Musashi. Suzumiya Musashi. The old Kametachi muttered his name. I am the Sickle King. King of Sickles, Suzumiya Musashi said uncertainly. Is this your real name? Ha ha ha, I guess so. King of Sickles laughed and said, in our clan, the clan leader of each generation is called King of Sickles. Let's not talk about this, but you, Konoha is not far from here. You have been here for quite a while and have been staying on the periphery. You suddenly broke in today, have you thought about it? Suzumiya Musashi had a question mark on his face. What have you thought about? King of Sickles was also confused. You have been here for so long, isn't it to sign a spiritual contract with my clan? Suzumiya Musashi hesitated for a moment and said, that's right. King of Sickles felt that there was no problem. It said that the most precious thing in the absolute Wind Valley is the spiritual contract of their Sickle Itachi clan. A powerful ninja came here not for this. What else could it be for? There were humans who came here before and didn't come in for a long time. They were also struggling, and of course, there was also the reason that their strength was too weak to break through the strong wind. Since it is to sign a contract with our clan, then it is easy to say. You have been in the absolute Wind Valley for so long. which proves your sincerity, and your strength is also pretty good. In this case, as long as there are people in the clan who are willing to follow you. Wait a minute, Suzumiya Musashi interrupted it that, Kami-sama, I think you misunderstood. Misunderstood? What misunderstood? Kami-sama asked in confusion. Isn't it just signing a contract? Although according to convention, they generally do not sign contracts with ninjas outside the Sand Village. But everything cannot be too absolute. Just based on the strength that Suzumiya Musashi just showed, it is definitely not comparable to ordinary ninjas. What's more, in its opinion, Suzumiya Musashi is still very young among humans. For ninjas, powerful summoned beasts are very precious, and for summoned beasts, ninjas with bright prospects are also rare. Of course, a summoned beast that can be a cage-level strongman is much better than a summoned beast of an ordinary ninja. I do need a spiritual contract from the Kami-Itachi clan, but the person who made the contract is not me. Suzumiya Musashi said, it's my apprentice. Chapter 200. The two of them were very close. Your apprentice? The Sickle King hesitated. If it was Suzumiya Musashi himself, the contract would be absolutely fine. But an apprentice who came out of nowhere. Seeing the change in the attitude of the Sickle King, Suzumiya Musashi said, it's like this. I have an apprentice named Tianchen. He is a young ninja with excellent talent. Excellent? The Sickle King looked doubtful. How excellent is he compared with you? My apprentice's talent is 10 times better than mine. Suzumiya Musashi immediately vowed. Kama, are you familiar with Konoha? Kama said, we have heard of the hidden villages of the 5 great nations. But as for familiarity, our clan is only familiar with the Sand Village. Suzumiya Musashi clapped his hands. Let me tell you, this apprentice is incredible. Very talented. Among the ninjas of Konoha this year, her talent is definitely one of the best. She has mastered a level ninjutsu at such a young age. Not only that, she also has very unique insights into physical skills and summoning skills. She is also the first heir to the Konoha clan. The huge family business in the future will belong to her. Itachi clan signed a contract with my apprentice, which is definitely worth it. Kama was somewhat tempted. Is he really that good? Of course, Suzumiya Musashi confirmed. If he doesn't praise his own apprentice, does he have to wait for others to praise him? Besides, he is right. His talent can only be described as average, and Tianchen's space-time ninjutsu is indeed 10 times better than his. As far as he knows, there are not many young people in Konoha who have the talent for space-time ninjutsu, so it's no problem to be one of the best. As for the wealthy families in Konoha, it's not said how wealthy they are, but they are ranked a little lower. The scale of the ninja tool shop opened by Tianchen's family is still good. As an only child, she is of course the only heir. He didn't lie at all. In that case, the Sickle King nodded, that's fine. When will you bring your apprentice here and let me see him? If it's really like you said, I believe there will be people of the same clan willing to sign the contract. Willing? Suzumiya Musashi asked with some confusion. King, what do you mean by willing? King saw this and explained, that's it. Our Kami-Itachi clan is different from other spiritual clans. Even if a contract is signed, a ninja can only sign with one of the Kami-Itachi. It can't be like the 3 holy places, where different objects can be spiritualized. So, only when the Kami-Itachi selected by the ninja agrees, can a spiritual contract be signed. Suzumiya Musashi found the problem and said, in other words, if there is no Kami-Itachi's approval, the contract cannot be completed. King Kama smiled and said, that's the truth, but as long as the ninja's talent is not bad, there is still great hope. I see, Suzumiya Musashi nodded, but he had some doubts in his heart. It would be fine if he signed the contract himself. Whoever dares not to approve of him will be beaten. Not necessarily every day. If the Kami-Itachi didn't agree in the end, he might have to take action. But thinking of the unpredictable wind escapability of the Kama King, he was not very sure. King, how can you agree to him so easily? That's right. We should beat him out. We, the Kami-Itachi clan, have never signed a contract with humans outside of Sand Village. King, next time he comes, let's work together to drive him away, right? King Kama listened to the noise in his ears, and his face darkened. Shut up. It looked at the Kame-Tachi, who was the most enthusiastic. Beat him out? Do you have that ability? The Kame-Tachi stared at it stammered. Don't you still have the king? Humph, King Kama snorted coldly. The contract signed between our Kame-Tachi clan and the Sand Village is just a balance between our neighbors, not a sale to Sand Village. You idiots, remember this, don't always act like a lackey. Sand Village is Sand Village, and our clan is our clan. But King, a Kame-Tachi plucked up the courage to say, before, our clan did not sign a contract with ninjas from other ninja villages. Why did you agree to that person? Why else? The Kama King blew his beard and glared. The people who came before, you little guys could just send them away. But today's people are different. If we really start fighting, I'm not absolutely sure. How is it possible? King, you are lying, right? The Sickle Weasels exclaimed. As the patriarch of the Sickle Weasel clan, the strength of each Sickle King is at least close to that of a human shadow-level strongman. How could he not be able to deal with a young human? Nothing is impossible. You all should be careful in the future. If there are humans entering the valley, don't rush in all at once. If you really meet a master, you won't know how you died. Seeing that the Sickle Weasels lowered their heads and didn't speak after being scolded by him, the Sickle King snorted with satisfaction and walked back with his hands behind his back. Halfway through the walk, he shouted unhappily, King Duofeng, what are you still doing? Come back with me. Oh, here I come. Kama Duofeng picked up the sickle and hurriedly followed. When they were the only two left, he asked, King, is that human really that powerful just now? Even you are not sure. The Sickle King did not speak. As the strongest of the Kame-Tachi clan, it has mastered the wind escape technique to the pinnacle. If it really wants to take action, it is actually quite confident of taking down Suzumiya Musashi. But there is no need for this. It is the leader of the Summoned Beast clan. Everything must be considered for the development of the clan. As long as the human who wants to sign a contract meets certain standards, it will treat them with courtesy. It is impossible to personally take action against a human. If so, there are so many strong people in the ninja world, and it will always make enemies. Maybe one day the Kame-Tachi clan will be destroyed. The Sickle King glanced at the Sickle Wind. You just took action, what do you think? The Sickle Wind thought for a while, very strong. I don't know where that human learned the wind escape technique, and the attack power is simply too strong. Even the stone wall that has not changed for 100 years was broken. If I hadn't used the chasing wind slash to deflect the attack, 2 of my clansmen would have been finished. The Sickle King recalled the mirror image just now, and his eyes flashed solemnly. It was a self-deprecating statement that it could not defeat Suzumiya Musashi. But today, Suzumiya Musashi's methods really shocked him. As the strongest of the Kame-Tachi clan, and a strong man who reached the pinnacle of wind escape, it has been a long time since it has seen a technique that surprised it like today. The cutting power of wind escape chakra seemed to be brought to an extreme by that person. Considering the other party's age, even it had to take it seriously. The reason why it temporarily agreed to the summoning contract of the other party's apprentice was that it saw the other party's potential and made an investment. Looking at the stupid Kama Duofeng, the king of Kama sighed. Tilde. It always felt that there seemed to be some undercurrents in the ninja world recently. If only it had the ability of that big toad to predict the future. All right, legends, that's it for today. If you're ready for the next chapter, smash that like button and flood the comments right now. Remember, we've got 3 days to prove this story needs to continue. Subscribe so you don't miss the drop, and I'll meet you in the next audiobook.